Hey, greetings and salutations. Those that join in, those that watch the replay, appreciate you guys for coming through. And yeah, so as I popped this 2 days ago, I'll let you guys know that I wanted to kind of just do a podcast, just kind of reflecting on the 90s, since that's the era I grew up through. And I said I had a special guest. And for me, doing this type of podcast, just kind of switching up format, bringing in other elements into my channel besides mobile technology. This person was the first one on my list that I wanted to get on. And thankfully, I was able to get her on this live stream because she is super busy. So it's very hard to get her schedule to match up with mine. But you know what? The stars aligned. Marvin the Martian finally got the P36 space modulator. And I'm going to go ahead and bring her in right now. And my first guest for my first talk show podcast, Everything 90s, give it up to my sister, my older sister. How you doing?
Hi everyone, how you guys doing today? Oh my gosh, not nervous or anything like that, but just I guess excited to talk about the 90s with you guys, reminiscing my teenage years. Thanks
Your
for having
teenage
me.
years. Of course, I wanted to do this, just because like the 90s was it's so different like today. Like, today I look outside, I go places, I see a lot of things. I see how people behave. I see how people behave on social media. And I'm always reflecting back to the 90s because the way that we grew up and the things that we're used to versus what kids are used to today is just so far apart. And I think people can really the younger generation can take a page or two out of our book. The older generation can be reminded of like all the great times. So with that being said, as I told you earlier, I'm going to hit you with a this or that. So it's not a speed round. You don't have to like get it in under 2 seconds, but it's just, which of the two.
Thank goodness it's not a speed thing. Speed is not my thing. I'm in Hawaii, so over here it's kick back and cruise, so it's a real slower thing over here.
I miss home. I think that's like, so I know that there was talks of like eradicating airplanes and trying to build a bridge to Hawaii so people here can go there. And you know what? Out of that stupidity, I wouldn't mind a bridge. It's just that, like you would definitely need to carry like multiple cans, like gas cans, because I don't know how they would put a gas station in the middle of the ocean to pull over and get some gas. But yeah. So, all right, here we go. First one for you. Street Fighter 2 or Mortal Kombat?
Oh, really, Bobby? Street Fighter 2.
Okay. Let's see. McDonald's or Burger King?
Burger King. They have better burgers.
Saved by the Bell or Doogie Howser MD?
Shit, boy. Damn, that's a hard one. Because I like both. Wait.
You gotta pick one.
I don't like that. I want to pick both because they both are so different. Okay, Saved by the Bell.
Saved by the Bell. Okay. Beverly Hills 90210 or what was the one that I had in my head? I just had it. Oh my God, the brain farted the other show.
Was it Melrose Place?
No, not Melrose Place. But okay, we'll just go with that. 90210 or Melrose Place?
It's gonna be 90210.
Okay. MC Hammer or Vanilla Ice?
Dude, that's like asking me Dr. Dre or Eminem. Like, seriously. Okay, wait. You know what? MC Hammer.
Okay.
He got the cool moves.
Okay.
He got the hammer time.
Let's see. Nikes or British Knights?
Okay, back then, British Knights.
Okay.
High tops.
Let's see. Final question for you. En Vogue or Sisters with Voices?
I'll go with En Vogue. Damn, that was hard because I like them both, and they're both on my playlist.
So speaking of playlist, right? So when you kind of think of music when it comes to the 90s, right? Because today, I know some people will be offended, and if you get offended, I'm not sorry at all. I don't care. I don't consider most of today's music as music. And it may fit for today's generation. That's totally fine. But you know, with us growing up, we never really were loyal to one genre of music, right? Like we would have hip hop, but we would it would also dabble into R&B. We would also dabble into grunge. We would dabble into alternative rock. I mean, geez, Meatloaf was still relevant in the 90s, and Meatloaf is like 80s, but his stuff still comes through. So when you think about music today versus music from the 90s, what would you say your top five most influential artists of the 90s would be, and why?
Okay. Well, my wow, top five. Damn, there's so many. Um, Although I listen to a lot of hip hop, rap, and um, obviously I listen to metal too. I listen to grunge. I listen to them all. I think the only genre of music that I rarely ever dabbled in was country or bluegrass too. Anything like that was just not my
No
thing.
banjo. No.
Yeah,
Da,
no
da, da, da,
banjos
da,
for
da,
me,
da,
and
da, da.
right, like I don't understand it. Um, Shit. Okay, well, number one would be Nirvana. Everybody should
Nirvana.
know Nirvana. All the kids today know who
Yes.
Nirvana is. My kids know Nirvana. My kids have my playlists. Nirvana, because they were so. See, the 90s was really rebellious. It was all about being a rebel. That's what it
Yeah.
was. We weren't very. I don't know. In comparison to today, the kids today are a lot more obedient, in my opinion. They kind of follow more. Us, we were not the followers. We were the ones that did whatever we wanted to do when we wanted to do it. And we were the generation that just didn't conform. I sure as hell didn't conform, and you know that. I was always the one doing my own thing, running around and doing whatever I want. Nirvana embodied that for me. Their music videos are way out of imagination. I just sat with my son the other day. So my son, he came home from work and he was so kind of delirious because he works
Yeah.
graveyard shifts, and so came in and I decided to pop on YouTube and just watch music videos. I was getting into the nostalgia of MTV before they had Jersey Shore and all that,
Jersey
reality
Shore.
show crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was more music
Pure
than talk than
videos,
reality shows.
Right. Back then, all we watched was sitcoms and then we watched MTV, and I'll do 2 hours of MTV listening to like Def Leppard, listening to Guns N' Roses.
Oh, Guns N'
Listen,
Roses.
yeah,
November Rain.
yes,
Classic music
that's
video.
my favorite because it tells a story. But okay, so Nirvana is number one just because of the aspect of being rebellious and unruly and not following the status quo. Okay, so that resonates to me the most. My second
Number one.
would probably be shoot. It would be Dr. Dre, actually.
Dre.
Yeah. It
Like the
would be.
old school Dre when he was beefing with Eazy-E, and they made those parody music videos to make fun of each other.
Yeah.
You don't see that anymore. You don't see that
Mm-mm.
type of stuff anymore.
No, I think everybody is too worried about offending each other, and so making diss tracks and stuff like that is not as prevalent as it was back then. And you know what, to be honest, for most of us fans, we really didn't care. We liked them all anyways. They all made
Yeah.
good music. So that brings me to my third, Tupac, because Tupac did a lot of diss tracking on Biggie Smalls, aka Notorious B.I.G. I like Tupac because he expresses, for me, I was an angry girl, really angry girl.
Yeah,
And
I know.
listening to Tupac, especially with that song "Hit 'Em Up," that's an angry ass song. You know what I mean? And
Oh
there
yeah.
are many times that I probably felt that way towards somebody. So, Tupac would be my third. My fourth, we're gonna take it to Alanis Morissette. Back to angry
Oh,
girl.
Alanis.
Yeah. Alanis Morissette, because she had her angry music. You ought to know, yeah. You know, you go through heartbreaks and shit like that. Like when she went through a heartbreak with Dave Coulier.
Yeah.
And that would be Uncle Joey from thinking of that
Full
show,
House.
Full House. There we go. Yeah, Full House. Yeah. So when she broke up with him, You Ought to Know was kind of like that diss for him, you know. Shit. So that's number 4. Number 5. Shit, that's kind of hard, but I am wearing Metallica. So let's say that's Metallica because I like the poetry. You know, our parents hated metal because of the sound of it all. They felt it was satanic music or whatnot, and they would lump Metallica into it. But if you actually take the lyrics of Metallica and you just read it, it's actually it's poetry. It really is, and I like poetry. I used to have a book of poetry when I was younger. I left it at the Pacific Star Hotel in 1995. I left my binder there and it had all my poetry. So yeah, Metallica would be my last one because of the poetry. Their music is like poetry to me.
Yeah, I got this comment pulled up. Don't worry, Michael. We're going to get into Beavis and Butthead a little later. It's coming. It's definitely coming. Okay, so those are great choices on top 5. I would say, like, you know, for me, top 5 90s, that's from 1990 all the way up to 1999. So probably a cliche answer for me: Slipknot, Nirvana, Stone Temple Pilots, Blink 182, and then I'd have to finish it off with The Offspring.
Wow. See, you kind of stuck to almost one genre. That was kind of your thing. I kind of spread out through a lot of things. I mean, I did listen to New Kids on the Block.
Donnie Wahlberg,
90s, right?
You know what's funny about all that? Like I never knew this until a couple of years ago. So like New Kids on the Block, of course, like I remember their music. I remember them coming out, you know, to the Philippines and playing. I forgot what park it was at. Was it the Bicentennial Park on Clark Air Base? Or
no, Challenger Field.
Challenger Field, okay. But I remember that. What I didn't know, because you know how that Mark Wahlberg had his hit music, Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch and that music. I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know that Mark had a brother in New Kids on the Block, Donnie. Right. Until later, when I started watching their TV series, Wahlburgers, when they're trying to open up their own burger restaurant, and then they put the little name tag at the bottom of the screen when someone comes on the show, and it's like Donnie Wahlberg of New Kids on the Block. I'm like, wait a minute, and I had to Google it, and I'm like, they're related. But going back to what you said earlier with Tupac, there's something that, you know, like I found out recently, and I wanted to share this with you to see if you knew about it. But so you're familiar with the movie Baby Boy, right?
Yes. Tyrese, right?
Yep. Did you know that Clyde Singleton, who wrote the script for the movie, wrote the character Jody based on Tupac Shakur? And actually he wanted Tupac casted for that role. But when Pac died in Vegas, then Clyde shelved the entire project until later on down the road when he met Tyrese. And just something about Tyrese kind of screamed that Tupac type aura when he met him. And so he decided to go ahead and make the movie, casted Tyrese for Jody. And that's why in the scene when they're in Jody's room, he has that big mural of Tupac. It was because the part of Jody was written for Tupac. Crazy, right?
Interesting. Well, I never knew that. Something I learned today. Wow.
We learn something new every day. But yeah, I guess for me, like the reason that those 5 were named was just because, I mean, like the one thing that you and I have in common in the 90s was that we were both angry kids. We experienced a lot of traumatic events in our life, from, you know, the point where we learned the world wasn't so wholesome as we thought it was. Parents' divorce, you know, seeing the fights between dad and mom was pretty tough on us. And then, dad kind of moving on, kind of like trying to rebuild his life with another woman, but not. And it's no diss to my dad, but he didn't effectively, put the family together. It ended up being where it's a split. You and me on one end, my stepmom, my little brother and sister, dad on the other end, and dad was always bouncing in between, trying to balance out both. So like for me, more of that music I named was because I really resonated with all the anger and rage. Like there wasn't too much of a thought process behind how I felt. I was just feeling fuck the world, which is why I did all that dumb shit, which my people that watch this live stream have heard my stories. So they know all the crazy, stupid shit I got into with Ruben and everybody. Like I share those stories with them from time to time. You said you were angry yourself, but like the way that I coped with, well, I didn't really cope with it, but the way that I handled a lot of those frustrations, what was going through your head during that time?
Okay, I guess for me, it comes down to fight or flight. I'm more of a person who flees. So I was absent most of the time at home, you know that.
Yeah.
Absent a lot, because I didn't like my step-parents, I hated both of them. So, I pretty much disappeared. If I wasn't there, I didn't have to deal with it, right? And, that's just what you do. And then, I decided I was just, not going to be a part of, and I was okay with that. I was the eldest anyway, so I was kind of on my way out of the house pretty soon. And as soon as I got that chance to get out of the house, I did quick, I do want to say that today I get along with my stepmother. My stepfather is no longer in the picture, so I don't have to get along with him.
Yeah, fuck that bastard.
But my stepmom, I get along really well with her. So, I put away my anger, over time. I'm 45, so I don't have time to hold on to grudges of 20 plus 30 years ago and stuff like that. So being an angry kid, I just left. I was gone all the time. Rarely ever came home unless I got thrown in juvenile hall. Then shit,
So would you say, like, because there was a lot of traumatic things that happened to both you and I as kids, and the environment, because like I watched this reaction video. I love watching these reaction videos on YouTube because I want to see like today's youth perception of like what we were into in the past. So like, one of my fondest memories that I remember a lot of was like when you kind of wanted to break away from your friends, you didn't want to go out and party or anything like that. So you ended up staying at home and chilling with me after I would get off the Super Nintendo and all that other shit. And we would just like pop the TV on. So you remember MTV Odyssey, right? Okay. Now today's generation feels like that TV shows that aired on MTV, like Beavis and Butthead, Daria, are like space headed, absence of intelligence. But then they also say shows like The Max, Eon Flux was too brutal for television. Do you think we never noticed the brutality in those shows only because we were already filled with so much anger and rage, as if it was normality, that those things didn't come off as being too brutal for us to see?
I guess so. You know what? Like I said, we were that generation that fucking got stabbed, hit, like we had merry-go-rounds. We had like slides that were made of fucking metal. Burn your fucking ass when you go down, right?
When you go fast.
We had those swings where freaking like even the swing was hot. The chains on the swings was hot. We were not baby. We were not coddled. We were not, I gotta admit this, I do. I coddle my kids. So, in some way, today's generation is the way they are because they have us as parents and because we knew how rough it was during our time. So many of y'all who know me, who have seen my reels, saw me do reels with other people who do, who do the 90s and the 80s and stuff.
Yeah.
And, literally legit, I will definitely say from my own mouth and my own words, yeah, they had announcements for parents to remind them that they had kids.
Oh yeah. I remember that at 7:30. Do you know where your children are?
Right.
That was a reminder
the
to tell
news
your
would come on, and right after the news was done, that stupid announcement came on. It's 8:00. Do you know where your children are? Because legit, we were really out there all the time. So yeah, we were so used to the violence in our own lives, getting whacked with that fucking merry-go-round, whacked by the damn, swings and shit.
Yeah.
Freaking stabbed by jarts and fucking who knows else, making fucking ramps for our bikes to go off of and whatnot. I mean, seriously, we were that generation that did stupid shit. Jump off the freaking roof with a freaking sheet to see if we would fucking float.
Oh, that doesn't work. I got comments for you right now, really quickly. I want to get to these. So, Nguyen Dang says that you don't look 45, maybe 30 at the most.
Thanks, I appreciate that. I attribute that to my mother. My mother is Thai.
We got one from Joys of the San Joaquin Valley. His name is Michael. He says, I was raised by my single mother. She was a single parent because her and my dad would be civil for my sake. But my parents could not stand each other after their divorce. We know that all too well. My parents were the same way. I think when it comes down to that whole, spiel of the divorce, I think the one that really sticks out for me was that argument mom and dad had at the Air Force Base by the hangar. And mom was in the Pontiac and she like tried to run dad over with it, but she stopped the car like right in front of him. And that day, I shit nobody not. That day, I thought my dad was a superhero because he didn't flinch. He did not move from the spot he stood. Even if my mom she wasn't going that fast. I would probably chop it up to like maybe 20 miles, 25 miles. She got it up to before she slammed the brake.
I wouldn't know. I know we were young. We were sitting in the back. I know we were crying. I know I was crying. I wanted her to stop because dad is my dad. You know what I mean? I love my dad. I love my mom too, but I was always, I don't know.
Well, it was hard for us.
I who I was closer to, but I love them both.
We were closer to dad. And the only reason why we were closer to dad and why I say it that way was because mom floated around. So she left us. Then she went to Guam. We were still in the Philippines on Clark Air Base. We were always close with dad. We didn't separate from dad until the Pinatubo eruption. And that's when they stuck us on the Abraham Lincoln, the aircraft carrier. That was the only time we separated from dad. And we lived with mom for a couple of years and we got to know her. So I would say, if anything, we were both close to dad, which is why a lot of that stuff that we went through as far as internal family struggle and pain was so prevalent there, just because, it was coming from the one person that we attached to mostly because he was always there. And then we just felt like he was gone. Like he's here when he wants to be, then he's over there when he wants to be. And, not trying to put too much of dad's business out, but
right.
Let's see. Another one we got here. Warner Bros. Slapstick violence, I guess. Finally off.
Roadrunner? Shit, yeah. Elmer Fudd. Yeah.
Elmer Fudd. I'm hunting Webbits. Every generation prior caught the fade worse. Yes, we actually did fight. We didn't fight on the internet. We actually met up and fought. We did fist fights mostly. You did a lot.
I'm not gonna say there was no shootings, but I'm gonna say you didn't hear much about it. But I'm not sure if that's just because back then we didn't have the World Wide Web either. It seems like today everybody wants to be a fucking star. They want to be a fucking star for some fucking reason, whether it's for makeup or music, or today everybody picks up a damn phone every time somebody's getting into a fist fight. Nobody goes out and gets help. No, they just, and then they throw it on YouTube for views and shit,
Yeah. Speaking of which,
I see a lot of it now. Thank you to the goddamn web.
You'll probably hate me because if we did have the internet back then, I would have recorded your fights and uploaded it online and get views off of them. I'm
No
sorry, I
proof.
would.
That's the wonderful part about our generation. There is no proof. You can't say. You know what I mean? And I can
Yeah.
deny your word against mine. We didn't have proof back then. We got away with just about
We
anything.
didn't really snitch on it. We didn't really snitch on each other. It was like when
Right?
shit was gonna go down, it was like, okay, like for me, like seventh and eighth grade, when shit went down, when we were gonna fight, like when I fought Nick, when I fought with a couple of Samoans, and before we had that big rumble between the Filipinos and the rest of the school. We used to go to the far back field going towards the Navy housing right behind my school. And we would fight back there. And then once it was done and over with, we'd walk back on campus. Like the only way someone got caught is if they got royally beat on, that they had lumps and it was unavoidable to hide it. But, small busted lip, put toilet paper on it, press on it till it stopped bleeding. And, they would make up stuff like my chick kissed me hard, bit my lip or some bullshit like that. But yeah, we weren't so quick to run and tell.
No, we weren't. We kept our shit to ourselves. That's why Gen X is such a mystery to a lot of people, because we didn't talk very much. We really didn't. Whatever happened, happened. Our parents never know shit of what we did. And when I told Dad of some of the shit, I didn't tell Dad everything. It's impossible for me to tell Dad everything. But the highlights that I gave to Dad, he was like, wow, I didn't even know you were doing things like that. He didn't know. Yeah. Because we didn't talk. We were more of handle our shit, and don't get nobody involved. Don't call parents. Don't call anybody. Just handle your shit. But we weren't that violent to where we were fucking trying to shoot each other over something menial, We weren't like that either.
We didn't have a lot of that. Like what Brian says right here. Brian says, snitches get stitches. Yeah, tell that to the kid that got me the kidnapping charge and then got me like kicked off the island till I was supposed to be off till I was 21. I told him that story, how I got that kidnapping charge, and then how the judge was like, I was supposed to leave Hawaii until my 21st birthday is when I can return.
What was it? You put a Butterfinger in back of his back and like it was a gun? That was dumb.
It worked. It worked, but you know what? That was the first time I learned that sometimes your friends are not your friends, because everything that Brock did to that kid and Brock's little skinny friend, everything they did to that kid, they pinned it on me. So when I got locked up for a couple of months in DH, or waiting for the trial and everything like that, the case report, everything was put on me. The fist fight, they said I fought the kid. The cigarette burns, they said I burnt him with a cigarette. So that's why Brock left Hawaii for a while, because he knew when I got out, that shit was going to get real. So his mom sent him back to his family in Georgia.
Well, those kids were kind of scared too. Weren't they military kids?
Yeah, well, that's when I was trying to break away from the locals and everything like that. Because the neighborhood we grew up in, right? Alimano Park boys, they weren't really like Bloods or Crips. They were just a neighborhood set. And you remember when that dude from Pinoy got chased out of the park? He was walking through with this pink bandana like he was hardcore, and the guys on the court, they got irritated of him, so they ended up chasing him all the way out the park.
I do.
Yeah. So we didn't really do the gang thing per se. It was always mostly neighborhood, right? Because that's how it is in Hawaii. I don't know if it's still like that today, but it's never really about Bloods or Crips. That would be a secondary reason why people would fight. Main reason people would fight is neighborhood, because Halava Mob, they're Crip, they claim blue, and then Waipahu Homicide is also Crip, but yet they had a major feud for a long time. Even one point you got caught in the crossfires where you and the Lion King got robbed.
Oh God.
I didn't tell him about your first husband, but I'm gonna tell him the story.
Ain't no skin off my back. I corrected my mistake, so I'm good.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I got a funny story for you. Well, it's kind of funny. It's funny to me just because it was fucking hilarious as hell. But at that time, I was very heavy into skateboarding. So I used to go to Mactown Skate Park. I used to go to Ala Park, which also had a little skate park. And my sister was going to college, and I would always meet up with her after she finished school. She was doing night classes. That way she didn't take the bus home, very late by herself, because where she lived at, it wasn't the best neighborhood. It wasn't the worst, but it wasn't the best either. Um, so me, my sister, and our brother Ruben, we're gonna go back to the house and chill. That was our thing. We would get back to my sister's house, then we would chill for a little while, talk story, have laughs. If it was raining, we would look for frogs to scare Ruben because my brother Ruben's afraid of frogs. But this particular night was very interesting because we get to where we were living at. It's like a house that's divided up into three sections, and the back part of the house, that area was where my sister and her ex-husband rented. So we get up by the front door, and there's window louvers on the door and right next to the door, and we hear moaning. We hear all the noises you hear in porn. And my sister's like, "What the fuck is that?" And Ruben looked excited. So he tries to peek through the louvers. And then so Ruben peeks through the louvers. He sees what my ex-brother-in-law is doing. And so my sister's like, "Wait, just wait." So we sat out there. I lit up a cigarette. We're waiting like almost 5 minutes. That way there's no fucking way he has an excuse.
By the way, that cigarette should have gave us away because Ray didn't smoke.
I know, but Ray's an idiot. Look who he's married to. But anyways, after 5 minutes, my sister decides, okay, it's time to bust in. Kind of like the whole Chris Hansen thing. We're gonna catch you type of thing. She gets the front door open, and Ray sits up pretty quickly, and the VCR gets turned off. Right, powers off the VCR. My sister's like, "What are you watching?" Mind you, everybody, my oldest nephew, Chance, is sitting on the couch. Chance was like my little dude. Like I always wanted him around me when I was home. And my brother-in-law tries to make up this bullshit excuse that they were watching The Lion King. And so we're like, "Oh, The Lion King." Ruben's like, Simba's getting it from Nala.
My poor son. Subjected to porn at such an early age. Oh my gosh. I think he was like 2 or 3 at the time.
Christian was born already. He had to be like 3.
3, and yeah.
Yeah. But that's why for my ex-brother-in-law, who's a fucking joke, I always call him Lion King, and my brother Ruben calls him Lion King because ever since he dropped that bomb that he was supposedly watching The Lion King, it's like. But Ray was all kinds of stupid, and unfortunately, that was you met him in the 90's.
Yeah, that's the skeleton in my 90's closet. I like to leave that buried.
But you were doing a lot in the 90's, though. Like you picked up drinking, you picked up herbal indulgence. Like you were pretty wild.
Do, right?
like you were pretty wild, and this is why I was able to get into so much shit. For most of you guys who don't know, this is my older sister, but also I don't want to throw out like surrogate mother, but in a way, kind of, just because it was always you taking care of me, whether you wanted to or you didn't want to. And
well, you know what? But that's another thing of the 90's. We had to grow up really quick because parents were working. 2 parents were working. Nobody was home, Luckily in the Philippines, when we grew up during the 80's, luckily we had a nanny that was there.
Lena.
But in the 90's, when we first got home to Mom's apartment in Harmon Gardens, when we first got out, she stayed the day with us, and then the next day she had to go to work. And then it was just me and you in the apartment watching cartoons, watching MTV, watching old shows from the USA channel.
I got to admit something to you now. About that apartment complex.
What?
Remember when I had said that somebody had broke into the apartment because I got home from school first before you and Mom wasn't home? Do you remember that? There was nobody. I was scared shitless of being alone in the apartment by myself that I ran all the way to Subway and then faked the fucking story to Subway because I thought Subway people would let me chill there until you got back from school. Instead, they ended up calling 911 because I had made a claim that someone had forcefully entered the apartment, and there's nobody. I was being a big pussy at the time.
Figures.
So it was like that was like when I was what, fucking 10 years old, 9 years old. I was 9 years old.
Figures.
I'm gonna be 41
Hey, but Subway
next
was
month.
a cool place to go chill. That's where we decided we like meatball subs.
Yes, mom would always give you a $20 bill and be like, "Take your brother to get dinner." I remember that.
Meatball subs.
I think that's kind of like, in that time, because we did a lot of dumb shit. I'm not gonna say one outdid the other one, but back then, I'll be honest with you, doing the craziest shit and getting in trouble, I was trying to outdo you. And I was like, my sister. Oh, my sister can drink. Fine, I can drink. And then I started drinking with Ike and that other dude that called himself. What the hell's the name of that spray paint can? Krylon. The white boy that used to get picked on by. Remember, you used to hang out with Keola, Mike, like Brian and Shyla and all them.
Boys.
Yeah. Okay, didn't they used to? Because I know the dude Krylon didn't like you guys because I guess I don't know if it was Keola them or Ryan or who, but one of them used to pick on him. He's a skinny white dude that used to be a tagger. I forgot what his name was.
Cannot be Ryan because Ryan wasn't the type to do that.
No. The guy they picked on, the guy that calls himself Krylon. I can't remember his real name, but he always went by the name Krylon because that was his tag name.
I meant cannot be Ryan that teased him or anything because Ryan's not that way. Keola is, Barry is, Mike is. Those guys were, but
probably
not Ryan. Ryan was more like a cruiser. He was back chill. That's that.
Well, the reason why I say that is because, like, when I met him and his friend Ike, like, that's when we would go up to Bellows a lot because they would go and get, like, one of the camping spots, set up a tent on the weekends. We would go out there. That's when I really got heavy into drinking because I was drinking an entire 30-pack to myself. Mind you, I was only maybe, 16? I probably weighed like $135. And I'm slamming all these beers, but like I did these things because I wanted to outdo you in the crazy shit that you did. And I think I went too far and overstepped my boundaries on things that I've done. Robbing tourists in Waikiki on the Waikiki Banyan Hotel and climbing down balconies, breaking in from hotel room to hotel room. I don't think you would do anything like that. But that I ended up doing that with Ruben. But like I said, it was always a competition. Just because.
And then you fucking bit me in my car. Yeah, yes. We're going back to that. Yeah, we are.
We're going back to that. Yeah.
You fucking bit me.
Yeah.
He's a biter.
Well, okay. So since we're being honest here, okay. As much as I am close with my older sister, we also make the perfect enemies. Because we can get on each other's nerves. We know each other's buttons to push. And I remember one time when I had gotten out of lockup on that kidnapping charge. Mom was there. She rented a hotel in Waikiki. And then so I went to go stay with her for a little bit to spend more time with her because I had gotten arrested on that charge when Mom came to visit. So she didn't get to spend time with me because I was locked up. And then so I remember staying at the hotel. I was just chilling about. You came over. I don't know what started an argument between me and you, but one thing about us is that our prides never let us back down from each other. So yes, me and my sister, when we pissed each other off, we chased each other with knives when we were younger. We've done some terrible shit, but I did one fatal mistake that day.
I beat his ass a lot.
Well, she would always punk on me. That was her thing. Like when I was 10. And I was, and I wanted to be part of her clique. It was more of like, you're a bitch, and just like beat the hell out of me, smack me, pull my ear, dig your fucking nails into my skin, and leave these stupid odd looking seagull marks on my arm.
We have nothing in common at that time.
I didn't have nobody to look up to, so I looked up to you. You can't blame me for that. But
yes, I can.
That day at the hotel, my sister came at me with her attitude. Like I said, she knows how to push buttons. And I, for the first time, actually hit my sister. I hit my sister in the face. She pissed me off that much. And I felt bad for doing that. and I told myself I would never do that again.
Just
So
to be clear, it wasn't a slap, it was a fist.
yeah, it was close. It was close hand.
It was closed fist.
I took every time that you beat me up, especially when you hung out with your friends who were Crips and you guys were gangster back in the day, and you beat the shit out of me. Like I put all that into that hit, but
I couldn't hit him anymore. I was an adult.
yeah, did you guys catch that right there? She couldn't hit me anymore because she was an adult. Had she not been over 18.
Had I not been over 18, yeah, you would have got your ass handed to you. Or I would have died trying.
More than likely.
Because
More
you
than
were
likely.
bigger already. You were a bigger kid.
Yeah, but it wasn't my cup of tea to do shit like that. Like that, you had pushed me beyond the point.
It was a one-time thing.
So, but anyways,
you bit me.
I bit you because I didn't want to punch you. So, the reason why that happened was that I was hanging out with friends, and my sister gave us a ride and dropped my friends off at the mall, but she didn't want me to get out of her car because I was supposed to go to Radford High School. I was trying to drop out of high school, and I didn't know that she was bringing me there so they would sign me out as a dropout of the high school. I thought she was trying to force me to go to school, which I didn't fit in very much over there at Radford because I had made enemies with guys that lived in Halava. There's the reason why I didn't want to go, because they were always trying to either jump me back there, like, you know, with the stairs that goes down towards the football field. Yeah. So like a couple times they caught me there because when I moved,
say nothing?
who could I talk to? You weren't really around. You were with Ray during the day, getting, you know, your free drinks, your money from him, hanging out with him at Fun Factory, getting your friends to hook up on arcade games. And then by nighttime, you were cruising with your other friends. So at this time, you weren't around. I didn't have anybody. So I was like really on my own. And then plus two,
why don't you tell Dad?
Why would I tell Dad? Like,
I know,
there was no time to talk to Dad. Dad was preoccupied with his work. Come home, he was preoccupied with Cho. Yeah,
that's what I mean. We never said anything. Even our troubles, we didn't go to our parents for. So that's kind of what I wanted to bring up. We just didn't say shit. We dealt with it on our own, and our methods were not all that great.
I don't know how many of you guys ever had a female dig her fingernails into your skin as a grip, but that shit hurts. It stings, and it leaves these stupid fake seagull patterns on your arms for days. So that's why I bit my sister, because she dug her fingernails into me. I was trying to hop out the car. Like, she was driving. You can't hear me? Is it back or is it still silent? No sound? Okay. Hold on. Everybody in the chat, can you hear me? Let me know if you can or can't. 1 second.
It's very silent.
I can hear you now.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Okay. Give it a minute. Hold on.
Should I dip and come back in?
No, it's me. It's on my end.
Oh, wait. My son started the damn truck. My phone is connected to said truck. Oh, fuck me. Okay, hold on.
Technical difficulties.
But I still can't hear you. I turned off my Bluetooth and I still can't hear you. Let me see. Shit, this is nuts.
If you want, you actually can drop out and come back in.
Man, why did he start the car for? You hear both of us? Okay, that's cool. Thanks for confirming that. It's just my phone can't hear because it's been connected to my car's, and now I have zero clue what to do.
Try dropping out and coming back in.
Okay, I muted myself, then I unmuted myself, but I just can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Okay, hold
for
on.
Your background to music. Okay, I'll leave. I'll be right back.
Kind of crazy, right, everybody? I mean, you guys are like hearing firsthand, like something weird. How about now? Can you hear me?
I still can't hear you. Crying. What? Is somebody telling me to get off or something? What is this? Like, get the fuck off, girl. You talk too much.
I wouldn't say that.
I still can't hear you. Why not?
Is your Bluetooth
My
on?
phone is so dumb. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right, I'll give her a minute to kind of figure it out. She's gonna play around with the iPhone 11. But anyways, to finish up that quick story with her. So yeah, she was trying to take me to school. I didn't want to go, but I didn't know that I was going to be fighting people to drop out. She didn't let me jump out of her moving car, and I bit her hand.
Now I can hear you. Yay.
Okay, good. Now you can hear me. So, like I was saying, to finish up that story. So she was driving me to the school that I was going to. I tried to hop out of her car while I was moving, and it was not at a slow speed. We were driving like 45, 50 to get back to where we were going, and I tried to hop out while I was moving. She grabbed a hold of me because she didn't want me to jump out of her car, obviously. And in the struggle and everything, I bit her hand because she was digging her fingernails into me.
And then they fucking arrested me.
That was the cop's choice. Like I said,
I think that happened first before the punching. I remember that because that had to have happened first. I already had kids both times, but I think the time you hit me was probably after, right? Wasn't it?
No, it was before that because
sure?
because I got the kidnapping charge. I got released.
Your ass back then.
You should have. No, you didn't do it because we were in front of mom. That's why you did it. You didn't fight back with me.
What do you mean? Shit. I used to fight back with mom all the time. Bruh, that didn't
But that time you didn't. That time you didn't. Because like the reason why I know it was before that was because
I pregnant? I'm thinking of the reasons why.
Yeah, you were. I think you were. Because the reason why I know it was before that was because I was with mom to spend time with mom, but mom was there also because she had the plan to take me with her afterwards back to Guam, and then from Guam, her husband, her, and me moved to Washington State. Came after that because the time that I bit you was when mom sent me on the plane back to dad without him knowing. And then that's when I was hanging out because Ruben at that time Ruben lived in Nu'uanu, and then that's when you only gave us a ride because you didn't want Lindsay and Leilani to be left over there with Andrea's husband. Remember? That's why that's why you gave him a ride, and that's where all that stemmed from. So that was after.
Okay, so being that we're almost towards the ending, we better start talking about Beavis and Butthead.
We are talking about we kind of went into that, and we kind of strayed off and went into like personal stories.
Straight off into our own personal lives. Oh my goodness.
So Beavis and Butthead, because you made a reference to this earlier with my niece. My niece was comparing it to Family Guy. Beavis and Butthead, for me, it was all about that they were trolling music videos. That's what the fun part was. I mean, like the skits were funny, especially, any skit that they were working at that fast food joint, or if they worked for the old guy, they would always like do some dumb shit. But the music videos is what I liked. What was it of Beavis and Butthead that you liked of that show?
Shit, I love when they used to clown on Daria a lot. Diarrhea, cha-cha-cha.
Diarrhea, cha-cha-cha.
And I love, so I don't know if I can do it because I'm so fat right now. But back then, the great Cornholio.
Great Cornholio. Need
TP for my butthole.
You know what? Beavis and Butthead's new episodes is on Paramount. I don't know if you know that. They have new episodes. They're also replaying old series.
See, I'm afraid to watch the new episodes because
they're just like the old ones. there's no change, no
Yeah,
generational
that was
change.
my concern, was they were going to go with the times and they were going to turn into a bunch of fucking pansies and not say
No.
anything offending. I'm sorry. For those who don't like to be offended, don't hang with me then, because I could give two shits about offense. We make fun of ourselves, for crying out loud. So, I mean, we're not fucking offended easily. Like, today's generation is offended over every goddamn thing, you know? But you know, we were tough. We were built tough. We were skin tough. And I mean,
But
we
that was a
lived by
model
the
back
mantra,
then.
sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt me.
Well,
And
we
they
had to
did.
live by that. That was the standard in our
Yeah,
adolescent years. The
that
standard
was.
was don't be a bitch. Like,
And then talk shit, get hit. That was another one.
oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I shared the Blockbuster Rumble between Ali Amano and Juan Aloa with them the other day.
Oh shit.
um, but yeah, so yeah, no. Well, if you were to watch it, like if you were to subscribe to Paramount to watch Beavis and Butthead episodes, um, it's pretty much still the same. So it's the same format. They're skits. They do dumb shit like trying to saw a grasshopper in half with a chainsaw and cut off
And try to
Beavis's fingers.
score. We're gonna
It's always about
score.
getting scores. Yes, the famous line, "Come to Butthead."
Oh my.
It's pretty much that. Like they may have modernized the art a little bit. They didn't stray away too much of it, but just kind of like brighten it up. You know what I mean? Like if you were to compare an old TV show and its colors to like a color, like the colors taken from your iPhone in video, that's all they did was just kind of brighten it up. But it's still same format, same silliness, same style jokes, shit like that. Um, you know, there was a lot. It could go either way when you think about the 90s, right? Because like in the 90s, like we started getting movies like Dangerous Minds, Freedom Riders, those types of movies, right? Which were based upon real events that happened, that was going on in ghetto neighborhoods. But then we also got a contrast of that too. Like, what's that one movie with Hulk Hogan I just shared with you the other day?
Wasn't Mr.
God.
Nanny, was it?
No, not Mr. Nanny, but the other one.
Suburban Commando.
Yes. Where the Undertaker's voice was so light, and he's like, "No wonder why you guys never talk." I don't know if you know that guy. One of the bounty hunters was the Undertaker, the one that talked. He's like, "You're a dead man, Ramsey. No wonder why you guys never talk." That was the Undertaker. That was Mark Calloway.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's why he
damn.
never talked.
Yeah, but like we had movies like that, or Captain Ron. I watched Captain Ron the other day and was still cracking up. My kids are watching it. They don't find it funny. Like none of the references. And
You know
me,
what? I mean, my kids watch, they watch my throwbacks and they don't get the jokes because, the lingo is different. Like their slang today is different from our slang. And then they use our slang and they redefine it as something else.
Yeah.
I get so confused.
I do too. Like my kids always talk to me about no cap. And like for me, when I hear the word cap, I think about the old days when me and Ruben we used to graffiti, we used to tag, we used to have our tagging cliques. And when you beefed with another graffiti artist, you would find like something like a project they did, and you would cap their project to let them know like you got beef.
Well,
Kids
because
today
I hung around with a lot of Crips back in the day. Cap means cap your ass.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember
Cap in
that.
your ass, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you and your Crips back in the day.
Hey,
I don't
they
know.
were fun to hang with.
You were never around during that time too. At that time you were going through lockup. I think that's what I was trying to beat was your record of lockup or the reasons for lockup. Because I remember you were in and out. Like you would go to school, mom would come home. This is what mom would say. Your stupid sister got into a fight. I'm like, because I'm waiting for you to come home from school. You know what I mean? Because at that time, I just picked up the smoking habit. And so I was actually using you to jack my own cigarettes because I would go in mom's room and you'd be like, give me some cigarettes. So I would get you 5 sticks, but 7 were taken out of mom's pack because 2 went with me. And that day you didn't come home. And I'm like, damn, how am I going to get my cigarettes now? I had to be even more sneakier. But I remember that quite a bit. You were in and out of lockup every time. And then when you would get out, it was the same thing. Mom would pick you up. We would leave that facility with you. Halfway down the road, we would stop. Dennis and your crew would be there. You would hop out of mom's car, get in the car with Dennis, and then vanish for like a week.
Those are the days. And that's why Gen Xers are just, that's why we are how we are. You know, that was the lifestyle we had. You didn't have much parental, you know,
Supervision
in your life. Yeah, not much parental supervision either. Mom worked like what, 2 or 3 jobs?
Yeah.
So for one job, and we only saw her for what, like a couple hours, so she could take a nap, and then she gets up, gets ready for her next job. So, you know, we were really the neglected generation, and I don't think our parents meant to neglect us. Plus, too, to be honest, our parents came from a different generation too. They were the ones that were seen and not heard. So they were always constantly ignored. They are latchkey kids as well. You know, we're the last latchkey kids, I guess I would say, because there's rules now as to how young you could be to go home and stay home alone. In some states it's 12, in some states it's 13, 14, 15, 16, whatever.
Shocker.
Shocker. But back then, you could be 6, 7 years old. You knew where the key was. You got into your house, you locked the doors. And that's why in schools, we were taught, don't talk to strangers. Never open the door for strangers. You know, DARE. I don't know if anybody remembers that. DARE, drug awareness, resistance, education.
Yeah.
We had to be taught a lot of these things, how to be street smart at school, because our parents weren't home to teach us, to be honest. I didn't learn the birds and the bees at home, to be honest. I learned that out there on the streets, and I learned it when it happened to me, you know. We didn't learn a lot of things from our parents. Parents were never home. So we were just put in charge of ourselves and our imagination, and whatever the fuck we wanted to do is what we did. You know, that's why we were able to have house parties. That's why we were able to, you know, disappear for such a long time. And our parents didn't even know. They didn't know what we were doing. You know, the 90s was just one of those ages where there was a shift. I mean, there was a shift starting, because the way Dad raised us was a little bit different than how he raised our younger siblings. Now, we have younger siblings born in the 90s, 91 and 93. So they're much younger than us. And so they're like in their 30s. And, you know, they were more sheltered. They were, you know, they were the kids that achieved and had the support of both parents at home, where you and I, we had quite the opposite. We were always left to our own device. I had to learn how to cook millions of ways to make chicken. I am the best fucking fried chicken cook ever.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
I'll
give you that when we had it 3 nights a week. Yeah.
3 nights a week, you know. Then we had like pork chop and steak or whatever's, but most of the time we had chicken. So I have this recipe that my kids follow, and my kids do it. They love it. As a matter of fact, everybody in my family loves it. It's called everything but the kitchen sink chicken. I put every fucking ingredient you can think of inside it in my batter, and I fry that bad boy up, or I'll put it in the oven. Oven battered chicken is awesome. You ought to try it one day, Bobby. I perfected it, you know. 45 years old, I cook it like a pro. I'm like a champ now.
Well, maybe you can make it when we go there next year, because next year for Xavier's graduation, that's his graduation gift is to go to Hawaii. So
you guys
spend a week out there.
Hawaii. Yay! I'm saying it like a Hawaii person. You coming to Hawaii?
Yes. And you know, so of course I'm gonna take them to a lot of places, little old stomping grounds and stuff. But yeah, one of those nights we'll come over, and I mean, well, not one of those nights. We'll probably see you guys a couple of times out there. But one of those nights we'll come over for dinner, and you can make that.
Cool.
Or you could have Reese make it.
Yeah, I'm lazier now. I get to be lazy. I have 5 adult kids. Yay! I get to be lazy. I don't have to cook as much. My daughter will cook for me. She's like super awesome.
Now,
but yeah,
I don't want to leave a bad impression on the 90s. So there was actually a lot of cool things in the 90s that we don't see a lot of today, or that has actually vanished today. Most of the ones that come to my mind has to do with education, because back then schools actually did a lot versus what schools do today. So we had, which I remember this was one of your favorite ones, but where we had I think it was called the readathon, where you would
Yes.
a whole week of reading in the gymnasium. Bring your blanket, wear your
It was a
PJs.
whole day, actually. It was one whole day.
I thought it was a week.
No, it was no field day.
Field
was
day.
a whole
There you go.
week.
Field day. Yeah, and we didn't have participation ribbons. You got first, second, or third. That was it. So
Yeah.
every kid tried their ass off for every event in that to get a
Yeah,
ribbon.
you know what? Back then, like even though we were so damn rebellious and shit like that, but we were determined too. And I think that's why we were able to feed so much into our rebellion, and we were able to like do so much because we were so focused. We wanted to be the best. We did.
Oh yeah.
I remember getting all these Math Buster awards.
Piggy Math Busters. I remember
When I
those.
was younger, I was fast too. But don't talk about math with me today. Don't talk about trig. Don't talk about geometry. It'll fly right over my head. But we were high achievers back then. We tried really, really hard. And if we didn't get it this time, we were not sore losers about it. We went back, studied, we tried next week because there was always going to be a next time.
Yeah.
So I mean that's kind of what I miss seeing is people trying. Today, people don't try as much anymore because they don't have to, because everybody gets a ribbon. It's like Oprah giving fucking everything away. You get a ribbon, you get a ribbon, you get a ribbon, and everybody gets a fucking ribbon. But I see something here. I'm so sorry. I get distracted very easily.
I'll read it out to you.
Can you read it?
Yeah, so Michael says, I shelter my baby brother a lot. I would tell my mom not to punish him because California law says you cannot spank your child with paddles, belts, switches, or fly swatters. Lucky for you in California, because I got my dad's belt, and it wasn't a little belt. This thing was premium fucking material.
Leather.
About that thick, about 1.5 inches thick, and when he cracks it. But see, like Dad, not painting my dad as an abuser. He was not an abuser.
No, he wasn't.
You got what you deserved. If it was something small, he would throw his voice at you, which is where I learned the art to throw my voice at my kids to scare them. Learned it from Dad. But if you really did some shit, you got the belt. I think the reason why the belt scared me so much is because remember when we lived outside of Clark Air Base, Dad had that Australian leather whip that he used to whip the coconut tree with. Dad has skills. He knew how to whip ass because he was whipping that damn tree's ass.
Yeah.
Like,
and coconut trees are pretty strong, and he left some welts on that shit. So.
Oh yeah, that tree was scarred the hell up. And that's why I said, like, the 90s. I guess the reason I wanted to reflect on it so much was because we had a lot then too. We also had holodays, and holidays actually fucking meant something. Halloween, you dressed up. We had the Halloween march, by the flight line on the base. And then we would go trick-or-treating. Thanksgiving wasn't about rushed for Black Friday to buy this shit for cheap. It was always about watch, the Charlie Brown special on TV while food was being cooked. And then we would eat like kings and queens. And we had food for the next 5 days.
For Halloween, I liked watching Casper the Friendly Ghost, the animated, the cartoon.
Yeah. Well, you had
that was fun.
You had Casper.
Mickey Mouse too. You
had the Mickey Mouse Halloween special, like when Donald Duck got the witch casted the curse on his feet to dance.
Yes.
There was that. There was the It's a Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, and then after midnight, from midnight to 4 a.m, would be the Alfred Hitchcock series of like his different short spooky stories. Yeah. So you had that. You had Nickelodeon was not about Wild 'N Out or any of that shit. It was all about, the I Love Lucy, the Dick Van Dyke Show, I Dream of Jeannie. You had those classic shows that even I still watch today, aside from the Saturday morning cartoons
90s,
and everything.
Bruh, I just gonna say 90s society really rocked. It really did, My brother and my angriness, that wasn't a whole generation. That was just the two of us. That's our personal day. But in actuality, people were a lot more outgoing back then. People were less hostile, less mad. Of course, the economy was a bit better. 99-cent gas, people.
Oh, I don't remember what gas was back then. I just remember that action figures. action figures. Like, remember I used to collect Ninja Turtle action figures, and you and Dad used to like jump on my back because I would never buy a villain. And you guys are like, you need to start buying some villains so you have somebody to fight. You were very adamant about that because you were sick and tired of me bringing my Ninja Turtles to your Barbie house to play. You're like, Ninja Turtles does not combine with Barbie because Barbie's like that tall and Ninja Turtles were that tall. It just didn't make sense.
Yeah, what are they gonna do?
What
are they gonna do together? They ain't doing shit together. So,
I had no idea, but we had a lot of things, and we didn't need the internet to know where we were. We just knew. We just fucking knew where our friends were. Crazy. Yeah. And I think about it
never
now, like
GPS to get anywhere. But I mean, we didn't travel that far either. We lived on a military base in the Philippines. So
well, even after that, like even in Hawaii, even then, right? Like I could find Ruben in Waikiki, and that's like a tourist attraction, big crowds of people walking. I could always find Ruben, Sang, and Anthony, but that's just because we knew each other so well. If I got picked up by the cops and brought back home for being a runaway, it was like as soon as Dad went to work or Dad and Cho left to go bowling, it was like boom, I was gone out the house on the bus, and I would find them in an hour. And it's like today,
it was, what? Yeah, fights back then were very minimal, and like I said, fist fighting. But most people got along. We had good fun. We really did.
Well, it's always about creating the crowd bigger. It was always about making the parties bigger. If you had your group, you guys were drinking, and another group came along and they brought beers, it was like the more the merrier. Collab.
The more the merrier.
Yeah, it was all about collabing. Like fights were only fights if it was like either A, some guy was messing with another guy's chick, B, some chick was messing with another chick's man, or it was some shit talking behind the scenes. And like that was very rare. Because like in your clique that I kind of like finessed my way into, the only shit talker was Kaleo or Julio. Fucking 6'3" Mexican vampire with one fang. That fucking cooked Lao in a fucking toaster oven. Correction, man, I know your father.
Right now I'm thinking of fashion. 90s fashion. So
baggy clothes for me.
You and I are 4 years apart. I know a lot of people will say, well, that makes you guys really close in generation, but not really.
No.
Not really. We were really different. He was still a kid when I was going through my prepubescence and everything. So one thing that hits home for me, whenever I think about the 90s, which would stem back from the 80s too. So I'm an 80s and 90s. You're more of the 90s, 2000s. So we're kind of like, after the other. So for me, it's the really cool hair. Y'all remember the wave? Y'all remember that teasing?
I remember that shit you used to do. I never understood that. You'd be like, I'm teasing my hair. Like, what? You talking shit to your own hair? What are you doing? I didn't know that was a style.
And you just put that bad boy down and you try and wave that shit. Aquanet hairspray. You always had a small little can inside your bag.
Hey, now that you bring that, now that you bring that up, now that you bring up that Aquanet hairspray, fuck you, because you used to spray that shit in my mouth for fun. That shit tastes nasty.
Who the fuck told you to open your mouth?
Give money to the poor.
Oh my god, that was so mean too. And you said it to Lena, and I guess we never understood, but we weren't the poor ones, dipshit.
I just knew. So here's the reason why I got my ass beat a lot. I was the type of kid growing up from the age of 6 on up till you got out the house. If I knew how to annoy you, I would push that fucking button for fun. Then I would get beat up, and then I would get all pissy about it. But it was fun for me to troll the shit out of everybody. Like,
you were such an ass. You're so rude.
But yeah, that Aquanet hairspray tastes like shit. That shit was bad.
And it was extra hold too, because you need the extra hold so when the wind blows, your wave is still intact.
Yeah, no, my taste buds know exactly what extra hold tastes like.
To be seriously honest, 90s was one of my most innocent times. Interesting factoid. I did not know shit about sex, even at 12 years old. As a matter of fact, at 12 years old, I didn't know if you had sex with your clothes on or off. I didn't fucking know.
I remember that kid wanted to at my birthday party.
So I had a good friend who was pregnant at 12, and I was so embarrassed.
Which one was this?
I'm not gonna say her name because I'm
say her name
on Facebook. No,
it's okay. She'll be Facebook famous.
No, I don't want to do that to somebody.
Here, I'll help you out. Ladies and gentlemen, this next statement is going to be for educational purposes at this time. Please refrain from doing the actions said in said statement. Go ahead. What's her name?
I'm still not putting her name out there. But she was a classmate of mine and she was pregnant. She had the belly and all.
What her hair look like?
For the life of me, I was like, okay, that means she had sex.
Not Clarissa, right?
How did she do it? How did she do it?
It's not Clarissa,
Literally.
Right?
Huh?
It's not Clarissa, right?
No, what? This is not even in Guam. This was in the Philippines. Yeah.
Philippines. Wagner High School.
I was 7th grade at Wagner Middle School.
Did you fight this girl?
No, not at all.
Okay, so it's not someone you fought.
Nice.
Okay, so it's not someone you fought.
I saw the Rachel haircut. I did have the Rachel haircut at one time. And Rachel hated her haircut.
Oh, wait, that's an old comment. Hang on. Oh, we got more comments to catch up on.
Oh, you know what? Then we better freaking catch up on that shit.
See, people took Ritalin instead of Adderall. The main protagonist on teen shows had no desire to be conventionally popular and more like nerdy filmmakers like Dawson's Creek or Class Clowns. That's what Michael says.
Well, yeah. I did have a classmate that took Ritalin.
Okay.
ADHD, right?
Nian Dang had to go, but he appreciates the live stream, said it was awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
And Michael Loke says, we grew up poor with a single parent, but we knew at an early age, life skills, survival of the fittest. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah,
he's right.
He's on point for that. Because technically, if you think about it, like, on the weekends, we didn't have a nanny. So you pretty much was like the person watching the house, because that at that time, we thought dad was working nights, but dad was not working nights. He was going on a date. He was getting to know our stepmother.
Well, so let's just say you were 8, I was 12. But after that, oh my God.
Was she at your birthday? What was she at your birthday party that time?
Yeah, she was.
When we first, so she was there when we met our stepmother for the first time?
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird. So back then, we were into the whole wholesome, parents are together, parents are close in age.
Yeah.
My future stepmom, she was just dating my dad.
I feel bad for her when I think about when dad introduced her to us, not only to us, you know what I mean, but like you remember when Marty Martinez had that barbecue?
I didn't even pay attention when he introduced her to me. I just said hi and I went on my own thing because I was bowling and I was having fun with my friends.
Yeah, so well, I mean, I knew you were pissed because I know what your mad face looks like, but I know you were trying to just ignore everything and just focus on your party.
Just
but
mildly irritated.
One time I feel bad about our stepmom was when Marty Martinez in the neighborhood had the block party in the backyard, the barbecue, and those women were talking shit about our stepmom because dad brought her
and everything. That was fun.
Yeah, and you had those gossip ladies, and they were like wondering why dad brought her. She's not our mother. She's too young to be our mother. And like when I think about it now, you know, because you know, me and Cho, like, you know, like I said, we buried the hatchet, like. All the anger issues that I had towards her and everything like that because of the argument that you and dad had. Like, I buried that because you had forgiven it. See, that's how it always is with me and my sister. Like, if she is feuding with somebody, even though me and her had our disagreements, I would always ride for my sister. It didn't matter if she was in the wrong. Like, she wasn't wrong in my eyes, no matter what. And the reason that I had beef with my stepmom, and I can say this today because that was all buried, but you know, it wasn't because that she married my dad and had kids. Like, that's what my dad and my stepmom thought. They thought that I was rebellious because they got married, and it had nothing to do with that. It had to do with the fact that my stepmom started smoking cigarettes because her coworkers got her into it, and then my sister smoked, I smoked. And so because my sister smoked, my stepmom used to follow my sister to see how she hid it from my dad. They would go to the backyard of the house that we were living in. They'd smoke in the backyard. And then when I would come back there, they would make me be lookout, because if my dad's car pulled up when he was getting home from work, I had to let them know. So they would get rid of the cigarettes, rush inside. My stepmom would have to do what she had to do to get the smell off her, because my dad didn't smoke. And so one day my dad goes through the bottom sink in his bathroom, and he finds a carton of cigarettes. Finds out my stepmom is smoking cigarettes. And instead of our dad holding her accountable because she's the adult, he went ahead and confronted my sister and blamed her for it. And that's what set me off to have this, okay, because I was waiting for my stepmom to take accountability and say, stop yelling at her. It was my choice. She didn't. So I looked at it like, okay, you're going to throw my sister under the bus. Fuck you. Now it's on. You thought your house was bad when she was here? Now I'm going to make your house bad that I'm here. And then that's where I would destroy the bedroom, graffitiing in the room, fucking dad's collection of quarters. And I feel bad for dad on this. So this one, I do want to try to replace of his. But like that quarter collection he had when they started putting like the US states each year on the quarters, they were trying to collect all 50 states. And one day I just wanted to leave. So I broke the plaque, like the casing, and stole the quarters, and then caught the number 12 bus to Ala Moana to meet up with friends, and ran away from home for like 3 months. That's why I had
Guess
beef
you have some collecting to do, don't you?
Fuck yeah, dude. I didn't know there were going to be that many states. Like, I didn't know there were going to be like that many, plus more. There's more than just 50. So like some of them, so like they did the 50 states, and then they did other images on the quarter that has to like, I don't want to say like cities, but like in some states, how they have like specific like monuments that are recognizable in that state. They would start doing those quarters. I didn't know they were going to do that. So 50 wouldn't be hard to really find. You would just have to like buy a tons of like trade in money for rolls of quarter, break them open and see what you get. Right. But then there's these other ones that were like kind of like limited edition, right? Like they were only minted so many, and that's going to be hard to find. And I'm like, damn, I should have not touched that fucking thing.
Good luck on that. So we haven't touched on NSYNC and Backstreet Boys.
Oh God, I was trying to avoid that.
In the 90s. Yep.
Well, so you could touch base on that, because I didn't listen to that shit. I listened to Blink 182 that made fun of it. But go ahead. Which one? Which one do you ride with? Or is it 98 Fleas? 98 Degrees.
Fucker. Shit. Okay. Well, I always thought Nick Lachey was handsome, so I did listen to 98 Degrees. I did. I found Nick Lachey very attractive.
Was it the spiked hair?
But I guess the most known would be Backstreet Boys. They had more hits, I guess. They had more hits.
I remember Ruben was heavy into that. That's why I guess I wasn't into it. Was because at that time me and Ruben were on opposite ends. I was getting more into the rave scene in a big giant like fucking parachute pants with the damn reflectors on it. And Ruben was into the poloed striped shirt with the 3 buttons right here, his ultra white shoes, and his jean shorts, and he was shaving his legs to make it smooth, gelled spike hair. And here I am still with my long undercut hair and fucking all kinds of weird outfits.
Your Jinkos. You loved your Jinkos.
Jinkos, Menace, Body Shop. Yep. And Ben Davis shirts, jerseys, the FUBU jersey, which I wish I never lost. God, that thing would have probably been worth money today. Especially the red one.
By the way, speaking of fashion, I was a fashion tragedy in the 90s. I was.
I don't think so.
I was a fashion tragedy. Like, seriously.
Well, then tell that to the countless fucker. So here's one thing that I didn't like being about. Like, I didn't like being her little brother about. One thing I hated. Hey, Bobby, what's up? Come hang with me. I go hang with them. You want something to drink? Take care of me, everything. We're in Fun Factory. They bust $20, gave me $20 in quarters. What would happen at the end of that? Hey, if you see Sonia, tell her I said this. Tell her come talk to me. Tell her call me on Saturday. Like, it was always the same shit. One guy would be like, talk to your sister, tell her call me. Another guy, oh, your sister's seeing somebody. Another guy, oh, your sister getting one man. Another guy, hey, try introduce me to your sister. And then my fucking friends, oh, your sister's hot. Like, dude, shut the fuck up. That's my sister. Hey, and then every time, remember Jerome? Jerome had a huge fucking crush on you. Every time Jerome was like, oh, is what the hell's her name?
Lay?
Lay. He would always ask if you and Lay were gonna come or if you were gonna come meet up. I'd be like, I don't know. He'd be like, oh, try ask your sister for some money. Tell you you're hungry, you need something. Like, why? Oh, so she can come through. And then when you would come through, that's when Jerome would run inside his house, spray whatever the fucking bullshit cologne he had. But it was always funny because by the time that he even came out, you were already ready for dig out already. So I was like, you didn't stay very long where I was at. Like, you always knew where to find me, but you never stayed where I was at. Like, you would just come through to see if I was okay, and then you would bail and go do your own thing. But like, it was just annoying. Friends having a crush on you.
We were independent people. We were not raised to be codependent.
Well, we had our own friends. We had our own set of friends. I did my own thing. You did your own thing. Every now and then, my friend. Well, of course, my friends would love to hang out with you guys because they were all trying to talk to you. And it's like, you're friends with me. You killed that ticket a long time ago. If you had a fucking chance, you should have never been my friend. My sister does not date my friends at all. Like, there is not. I can say that. There's not one friend I ever had that you dated. I've become friends with your ex or guys that had a crush on you, like Eddie, but you never dated them.
No, and I don't like dating. To be seriously honest, I liked being free. I like the freedom of just chilling with whoever I wanted to chill with. I didn't like the title of being someone's girlfriend. That wasn't my thing, really. And if I did throw that title around, I got something out of it.
No shit. Are you talking about Keith and Ray?
Yes.
This is where having a little brother worked out perfect for my sister. No, she didn't like to be tied down. So yeah, she was seeing the guy that she ended up marrying and then divorcing, the Lion King. She was also talking to this dude and hanging out with this dude. He was pretty cool. I wouldn't have minded if you married him. Like, he wasn't a dumbass. And he was into street racing. So, I mean, that was someone that I could easily connect with because I was like starting to get into cars. But yeah, when you used to hang out with Keith. And that was her thing. Her thing was like, Bobby, hang out with Ray. Keep him away until this time. And then it was like she would do her own thing with Keith and everybody else, and then Ray would take me to hang out because he's like trying to be a good guy because he really, he's really falling for my sister. And then like midnight is where you would be at home because Keith would drop you off, but you wouldn't go in the house. You would just go through the gate and wait in the garage port, and then Ray would pull up in the Honda, and then he'd let me out, and then you would come out and you'd be like, you just tell me like I'll be back in the morning, or you'll tell me like to lift your louvers a little bit, so when you came back home you just go in through the window.
Yeah, we did. We snuck in and out through the bedroom window. Yes, we did. Y'all did it too. Y'all know you did.
Favorite memory of mine, and it ended so badly. It ended badly because. So another story for all you viewers. You guys are starting to experience me so well. We did try to play that bullshit because our mom and dad were divorced. Like, they're not talking because they didn't talk. They didn't communicate. They were at odds ends with each other. So it was like, we thought we played that to our advantage this night where I knew how to get the spare keys to the Nissan Sentra from mom's briefcase because I knew the lock code. And this was before my sister got her driver's license. And we're like, we're going to go fucking take the car and cruise. So we took the car. We rolled it out of the parking lot. Like, my sister had done her fucking education on this because I was like, I gave her the key. I'm like, we're going to hop in the car. I'm like, start the car. She's like, no, Bobby, it's going to make noise. Help me push it. And we pushed it like 5 apartments down before she turned it on. And then we took off for the whole night. And we didn't get home till like almost 6 a.m. And I remember we thought we got scot-free. We went in through my window of the room of the apartment, got in, we're sneaking away, and then my bedroom door flies open. Not only does my mom come busting through the door, but my dad is standing in the hallway. I'm like, what the like she got yelled at by my dad, but I had these ninja swords that I really, really wanted. At that moment, I didn't want them anymore because I got beat with them by mom. She beat the shit out of me with them, and they hurt. Toys were made to last then, so they hurt.
And they were plastic ninja swords.
Yeah,
and that
they
shit
fucking hurt.
whacked real hard because I got some of it as well.
Yeah, you got it after dad dealt with you first, and then mom with you for. But then again, you know, a blessing came out of it because then I guess mom felt you were ready to learn to drive, and she taught you, and you got your license, and then you got more freedom because then mom would have her friends come over, drink, you know, eat some food, and mom would give you the keys. Take your brother. Yeah, she would gamble, and so we went and see it. She would always tell you like, take your brother. My mom's one of those happy drunks that money doesn't fucking matter. Because I remember one night she put $100 in my sister's hand. Was like, take your brother. Don't come back until later. We didn't even have
$100 was big back then, guys. Just letting
hell
you
yeah,
know.
it was. It was because my sister gave me 10, just $10 only. $10 allowed me to go to the arcade and play video games for 2 hours. She did her own thing with her friends. I didn't give a fuck because she was like, you were always making those deals with me. I give you $10, Bobby, and drop you off at the arcade, and I pick you up when it closes. Just be out front. Okay. Like, give me $10.
Oh, that was because the shopping center was close to where Dennis lived. And
Yeah, I
you
know.
would hang out there with Bobby. There was another Bobby.
Fucking
There was a
Bobby
Bobby
Botton.
and Bobby.
Bobby almost got me killed one night. He almost got me fucking killed. I don't know if you remember that.
That kid was full of energy and full of angst.
He got 3 carloads of Filipinos chasing us. That was when we were at the fair. And then Bobby was like, come back to my house. We'll play some video games. And then you and his sister and y'all stayed over at Epal Beach. And we walked up this hill.
It was at the
fair.
carnival.
Yeah, the carnival. We were walking up towards Bobby's house. You know how when you go up that hill, right where you pass it's like a little rocky wall, and then there's like a field right after it. We hid in the fucking bushes because we got chased by 3 cars of Filipino gang members because Bobby had to be oh so crip that night that he was stacking, throwing his set or whatever the fuck he claimed, and
Gang
pissed them
signs,
off.
guys, gang signs.
They followed us. They followed us, and I didn't know shit about gangs at that time. All I knew was Bobby was like, if I say run, run. And then all of a sudden he's like, run, and we're running. I'm like, where are we going? And there's a small wall. We hopped over and there's a bunch of bushes. And Bobby's like, lay down. And I'm like laying down in the dirt. He's like, don't make a sound. And then I hear these 3 cars stop up the hill, right where we were hiding. And they got out. One guy hopped the wall, but didn't see us because the bush was right next to the wall. And we were in between the bush and the wall. And they're walking the field and they're trying to see if they see anybody running a certain way because they were chasing us. They were going to jump us. And that's when Bobby told me when we got to his house, he was like, dude, we're going to get fucked up, man. Those guys are going to jump us. But fuck, dude, like, we got it. I'm like looking at him like, we got it. We hid like bitches, for 1. 2, it was a smart move because I'm not fighting 15, 16 fucking guys. I mean, each car probably had like 5 guys in it. Bobby, stupid idiot.
I guess we are the poster children for the negative of the 90s.
Well, I mean, it sounds negative, but at the same time, too, I gotta say that a lot of that stuff kind of like helped me as I was older, as I was an adult. The resiliency, because I've been in the lowest of lows where I didn't have nothing. Like, I would only have $50 in cash to my name a month to survive and live off of. And, you know, it was just one of those things where just like it prepared me for a lot of struggles. And sometimes not having someone to run to means that you have to learn to do it on your own. And then you take that as an adult, you hit things and you're like, I can't run to anybody else. I got to do this on my own, you know?
Yeah. And I think that's what the 90s did for most of us Gen Xers, you know, made us very independent. You know, I'm a mother of 6. So I had my first
Got your own football team.
I had my first kid when I was 18 years old, and, you know, really rebellious and wild lifestyle I had. But you know what? Because of all those things I did, stealing my parents' cars, and I did it on many occasions.
Yeah, it wasn't just one
driving
time.
people's cars without license, 13 years old, 14 years old. You know, I started driving from when I was that young. And, you know, really, I don't know, it just turned me into a parent that, you know, like I said earlier, I coddle my kids, really. I shelter them, and I'm open with my kids. So one difference between our parents and us being parents is I think we're more open with our children about everything. In my house, and this is what I tell my kids all the time, in my house, no subject is taboo. We can talk about anything and everything under the sun. Because I experienced it. I saw it all, you know? Want to talk about sex? Yeah, let's talk about it. You know what I mean? I can tell you much more through my experiences than, you know, where my parents didn't tell me shit.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point in how it is today. Like that transparency that we have with our kids. Like I can say I'm the same way. I'm very transparent with my kids. Like Destiny, you already know she's going into her teen years. You know, she's going to be an official teen in September. And like, yeah, I know how Dad was when Dad would even think about, you know, sex as a topic. You know, that was taboo. Like he didn't really talk about it. And by the time that he even wanted to talk to you about it, you already know what it is.
We already knew. We knew from our own experience. So it's like,
I knew from Dad's collection under his bed. And time
yes,
he left
we were street smart.
Yes.
Do not fights that you do not start fights that you cannot finish. Forgive me, I'm blind. But yeah, that is true. Yeah, if you cannot do it, then don't start it. However, there were some fights that, you know, I got into that I lost. I got mobbed once.
You didn't lose. No. Let's take it back. And see, my sister's modest about this. I'm not modest about this story. You didn't lose the fight. Okay, you were jumped and blindsided. It was a setup. Okay, that's very different. When you're told it's going to be up and up one-on-one and everyone's there just to witness it, and then the one sister that you were supposed to fight was too scared to come out of her house gate, but the other sister like side blinds from the side, and then her two friends get on you, then she comes out the gate, and then while you're fighting like three people and, you know, your homegirl Phyllis is trying to fight off the other ones, and the crowd is just cheering it on, and I'm trying to like get in there to help. I didn't give a fuck if they were girls. I'll smack a bitch. But that's my sister you were dragging on the ground. Like they drug my sister like half a block by her hair. That way, because my sister was well known as like one of the girls you don't fuck with. Like she doesn't look like she can fight. She can fight. And not pull hair and bitch slap. My sister was a boxer, like ball up fist, and then girls left with fucking welts on her face. So nobody was going to give my sister the upper hand to get on her feet, because if she got on her feet, you're fucked. So they kept dragging her by her hair to make sure she couldn't get on her feet. And I thought that was bullshit. So no, you didn't lose that fight. That wasn't even a fight. And that girl, she's still a fairy tale today, because she didn't see, like, even today, right? And you can vouch for this because I've told people this, like differences that I see between being in the mainland and then being back home. But back home, like people beef all the time, right? They get into scraps, like family will fight each other. But it's one of those things where it's like fight, like just get it out of your system, right? Like if you can't talk it out, just fucking beef already, power already. It doesn't matter who won, lost, shake hands. The subject is done. We're not bringing it up again. You know, they don't do that here. It's like you fight, you lose. Okay, I'm gonna get 3 of my friends and find you when you're slipping. Oh, we got you now. Okay, now that person's coming back with more people.
To be honest, most of my good friends from high school were friends that I started fighting. I mean, we fought. We started off as fighting, and then
Michael. She was known as a scrapper. Michael's like, you're known as a scrapper. Yeah, you were known as a scrapper, but it's like
I would say that because I wasn't always. If I could find a way to not fight,
you were like a sleeper.
I would.
No, but see that was your natural thing. See, I consider you one of those sleeper type people.
I didn't want to,
because you weren't violent. You weren't throwing your weight around. You weren't walking around like I can beat up anyone.
I wasn't a bully. I wasn't trying to. Most of the
fights I got below the radar.
I was defending myself. Someone hit me first, and I'm not gonna stand there and take it. You know, they would tell you back then. Go see somebody, you know, do this, do that. They, you know, try to find your way out of it. A lot of times I couldn't find my way out of it except for my fist. But I wasn't the type to go out and bully people because
Yeah.
I was bullied a lot. I really was. When I was 12 years old, and I can remember this, one of my most vulnerable moments in my teenage years. So 12 years old, I was really smart. I was a really smart girl. Um, and I think at that age, I was trying to transition because I was always known as the brainiac, the smart girl. And people will only partner with me because I was smart. And like I said, 12 years old, I didn't know people had sex with clothes on or off. So all these girls were developing faster than me. They were already having sex. They already had boobs. I had no boobs. I was like carnivore.
Oh God.
Okay? Sorry, but I just gotta be legit, you know.
No, I know.
Real here. I was the
just caught me out on left field.
Boys did not like at 12 years old because I didn't look like a girl. You know, I didn't dress real. Yeah, I was a
you weren't hoochified. You weren't in Daisy Dukes and all that shit.
No, I was very modest, and you know, my dad still had rules. I couldn't wear nail polish at 12. I could wear the ones that peeled off, like you could put it on, then you peel it off. But like real women's nail polish, I couldn't wear. I couldn't wear makeup. So I was really like ugly duckling. I'm still ugly today, but oh well. But anyways, shit, where was I at? I lost my freaking thing. Man, 45.
You were talking about basically like, you know, at the age of 12, you weren't developed yet.
I was in my science class. I love science. And this was Miss Bridie's class. She taught life science, which is biology. I love dissecting. Dissecting is my favorite thing to do. And I'm super duper smart at like, I was always a smart kid. And so
I know you were.
I answered questions like I normally do. I am the one where you're like, okay, you know, put your hand down. We know you know the answer, you know? Well,
this one right here?
Yeah, me right here. I'm the only one that knows, right? So there was this girl in class named Rachel Weinberg. I'll drop her name. But anyways, Rachel, I guess I answered a question and Rachel's like, yeah, there goes a genius again. You know, she was like talking smack and shit. And she did this to me throughout the year, you know? Poindexter and whatever fucking word you could think of to indicate, okay, we get it, you're smart bitch, you know. Now we didn't swear too much in class, and we were not, you know, we weren't as unruly as some kids are today in public school because we were in a military school. You don't act like that because your parents will whoop your ass.
Yeah.
Because your parents could get their stripes taken away if you, their child, act a damn fool. So anyways, I took it for most of the year, and one day, I don't know why, I grew cojones. I just grew them. I turned around and I told her, she was, you know, making fun of me again for being smart, and I turned around and I told her, you know what, Rachel, why don't you just shut up? It's the first time I ever freaking talked back to somebody. Normally, somebody teases me, I'm quiet, I look down, I say nothing. But this is the first time I actually, you know, stood up for myself, and I did, and then she wanted to fight with me. Now, I would have fought with her, but except they wanted to fight over the bridge. And the bridge is over this ravine. And the ravine, I don't know how deep the ravine was, but it was deep enough to where if you fall, you die. So I did not fight with her that day. That was one fight that I decided not to engage in because I don't want to fall off a fucking bridge and die.
Right.
I'd have saved my own life that day. But this other person, there was another time where this girl lied to me about something, and it was something pretty big because I got my dad involved in it, and turned out what this girl was telling me wasn't true. I will not say the whole situation because I just don't want to go there.
Yeah.
But this was the one time, or the first time, I actually went to somebody and just full on slapped them for lying to me. Then I got into a fight with her friend because she's weaker than me. So okay, I slapped somebody weaker than me. And then her friend, who was a little bit stronger than her, she and I got into a fight, and I beat her ass. But anyways, but I mean, for the most part, I wasn't the bully. I was the type that, you know, got bullied a lot. And then
you were the rebellion. You were the victim that rebelled, which was how things kind of like went back in the day. If you were the one that was picked on, you would take enough shit. Eventually, you would become the aggressor.
But that's kind of what happens, you know. And through all these experiences in the '90s, I know it shaped me to become a better parent than my parents, because I realized my parents was not who I wanted to become. I did not want to be the one that you know wielded the belt. I knew I did not want to do corporal punishment with my kids, and I for the most part I don't. For the most part, I don't. I do not lay my hands on my kids. I've slapped, you know, maybe my son twice for talking back to me, but I've never ever done anything to where I was beating the hell out of my kids. No.
Yeah.
And I only slapped my son twice. Twice. A lot of kids, no, I've never really, you know. So, you know, I guess at the end, Bobby, if we're wondering why the society today is so damn different from ours, it's because the way we raise them. We raise them differently. We don't leave our kids to their own device. So they depend on us a lot. You know, we you know, in my home, I'm the stay-at-home parent. I got the luxury of that. Not all parents do have that luxury, but I do. And I've raised my kids up until adulthood. And again, we talk about everything. So they don't have to go out there and find out what sex is like. I'll tell them what it's like, and I'll tell them what the consequences are of it. And through that, you know, the kids today just think differently than we do. They're not as hardcore. They don't have to really be latchkey kids. There's a lot of after school programs available to them. You know, they have the what they call that? Boys and Girls Club here in Hawaii. We have Boys and Girls Club. If you're a parent that works and you're, you know, you get off at like 5, you know, your kid can go, you know, from school straight to Boys and Girls Club, which is right next to the elementary school. So they're being watched and monitored a lot, you know.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much 90s in a nutshell. 90s kind of geared us up to become those parents of the kids that you and I make fun of today. But you know what? We raised them that way.
Pretty much.
We did.
So, I mean, you know, it was great having you on. I am gonna close this out. So we've been on for almost 2 hours. So I'm gonna end this in the same way that I opened this, but this is gonna be a little bit different. So instead of you doing like picking one or the other, it doesn't have to be a specific genre. It could be, you know, fashion design that you remember. It could be a movie you remember, music. But 5 things from the 90s that you will not find today.
Clueless. We did not get to even touch up on that Clueless. Alicia Silverstone. Most girls, whether they admitted it or not in the 90s, wanted to be Alicia Silverstone. Not only because of Clueless, but because of the cool video she did with Aerosmith.
Yeah.
She was kind of like the it girl that everybody wanted to be like, you know? Her style of dress in Clueless, a lot of girls aspired to dress that way. What?
I remember that.
You know? We wanted to live that lifestyle. That lifestyle was a cool lifestyle. It was so kicked back and so laid back. It was fun. And that was kind of what we wanted to do. Most girls. Don't lie, girls. You know y'all wanted to. Okay, so Clueless is 1. Shit. 5 things from the 90s I'll never forget. Damn. Bobby, I only have Clueless in my head right now. As a matter of fact, I'm replaying it in my mind right now, and I'm about to go watch it after this.
You're clueless to the other 4 choices.
I am almost clueless to the other 4 choices. Shish. I mean, fashion for me was always, you know, it changed over the 90s. It really did. I mean, you had baggy pants, guys wearing Cavariccis, you know, those balloon pants that you guys know of MC Hammer, and then it, you know, it changed over to what the hell did they change after? Oh, Jinkos. I hated Jinkos, Bobby. I really did. I hated that style. I hated that fashion.
I like Jinkos with a flare stripe.
That fashion sucked. like having boxers visible, your ass hanging out. Bobby
Oh, that
has big
wasn't.
butt, by the way, just letting y'all know. So when he wears those things and his ass stick out, I'm like,
I don't sag. I don't do none of that anymore. I'm more into the dad style now. But I'll go.
Oh,
What?
wait. Something came in my head.
No
The
fucking
Running
way.
Man. The
Oh, the
Running
Running
Man.
Man? Yeah.
Okay. The way people doing the Running Man today, the fuck? Can y'all come up with a new name for that? That's not the Running Man.
Well, it's not
That-
called the Running Man. Are you talking about that? Oh, fuck, I forgot what they call it. I don't know, because I'm not hip with today's generation. I don't know what the fuck they call it. I know what you're talking about. It's just
Dude,
like
my daughter came out one time, and this was when she was in high school. So my daughter's grown already, but she came out and she was like doing this dance. I was like, oh, what is that? She's like, oh, they call it the Running Man. I'm like, that is not the Running Man. I'm gonna tell you what the Running Man is. And I got up and I showed it to her. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm even gonna try and do it.
Oh, you're gonna do it.
At my ripe old age. Okay, Running Man. You'll start with the steps and
Dang.
that's your Running Man.
The Running Man.
That is your Running Man. Not that other thing that they look like they're doing backwards. That look like the backwards. I don't know.
Oh no, it was on that song Jerk. But I know what you're talking about now.
Baby.
But I forgot what they call that part of the dance. But I know what you're talking about because it's the Running Man, but it's reversed backwards.
Hey, Vanilla Ice was a great dancer, though. I did like his kind, especially on the Ninja Turtles movie when he was performing.
Go Ninja,
Vanilla
go
Ice.
Ninja, go. Yeah.
Go Ninja, go. Yeah, I yes, I remember Ice Baby. And I do remember Vanilla Ice, and everybody was in between them two, him and MC Hammer, who did it better, right?
Yeah. She might as well say the sprinkler next. I don't know if you remember that dance.
Is that the one where you go?
I have no idea. I couldn't dance for shit.
The Kid and Play! Yes!
Yeah. Kid and Play. Don't remember those
Yes.
movies. I
I
remember
know they do a similar dance to the Kid and Play, but I forgot what they call it today. They do something similar to it.
a lot of stuff today is kind of like throwback. Because if you kind of think about it, right? Like, all right, so like the type, you know, like the fitted jeans, high top sneakers, flamboyant colors. Like, I'm surprised the hat with the freaking sun visor flaps on the back hasn't made a comeback yet. Because I remember that shit. I remember Dad bought me one, and I thought I was fucking cool in 3rd grade with that on.
I remember doing the whole baggy jeans thing, and back then you had baggy jeans that were purple, you had baggy jeans that were red, you had baggy jeans that were like blue.
Yeah,
And
Menace.
I don't mean the regular blue jeans. I mean like legit midnight blue or green and some shit. The moonwalk. Oh, that was. Moonwalk
The only
was
pants-
more 80s. I think we didn't attempt the moonwalk in the 90s.
The only pants that I actually missed from back in those days, they were Jinkos, but they were corduroy Jinkos, the beige ones. Like, yeah, I remember.
Oh,
but
Dickies. Dickies.
Yes.
Dickies was an in thing back then too. Dickies.
Yeah, but you had to go with the baggier one. So like me, my waist size back then was like, you know, like a 30, and I was buying like size 40 Dickies and had to have like the military style like clip belt to try to hold my pants up, because like that was the thing. It was that, like a big baggy t-shirt, Adidas Superstar shoes, where your pants hid your shoes from being seen because they were that baggy. You could fit 2 people in one side. Like that was, that's because I was back then. I was into breakdancing, right? So I was like hanging out with like Arnold Corpus and Ben and all them, and we were breakdancing in school. That was our thing.
Yeah, breakdancing did make a small comeback in the 90s.
It did till like everyone got
capoeira.
influenced. Oh yeah, everyone was doing the capoeira, Brazilian fight dance.
Yeah.
I remember because like I learned breakdancing from Eddie, because Eddie was teaching me how to do it, like to do shoulder rolls and flares. And,
I know,
you know,
it was
just
kinda cool.
it was kind of cool because he was trying to get close to you, but you always saw him as a best friend. Like, he got friend zoned.
He was my bestie. That's it. I don't date my besties ever.
I'm still mad at him for the time that he invited me over to. So he was dating a Japanese tourist, and he brought me over to her hotel to hang out. And when she left, because she was there on business, and when she left, he stole her money, but he blamed it on me. He said I must have stole her shit.
Well, you did look like a good scapegoat back then. You
Yeah,
did.
but
But yeah, dance then was kind of different too. Yeah, as opposed today's dances look pretty cool though. But I don't
I
like
mean, it's
when
just
they
modified
take
versions
our
of it.
names and put it to their newer dances, like that Running Man crap that they were doing. I don't know how to do that dance. I cannot, and my daughter's not here. She's in Florida. Otherwise, I'd have her do a demo for you guys, so y'all can
Post
see
it
the
on your
difference.
Instagram.
Huh?
Post it on your Instagram, and then I will share your Instagram link in my channel thread, so that
Okay,
way
I'll ask Soraya to do it. I'll tell her, do your guys' Running Man, and I'll do mine, and you can stitch the videos together and see the difference. Because, I mean, seriously, when she said that that was the Running Man, I was like, no, the fuck it ain't. Not what I remember.
no.
Not what I remember. But yeah, shit, there was so much music and so much stuff back in the 90s that totally influenced us, the way we are and shit like that. I guess, the younger generation think we're the fuck shit up generation and we're the asshole generation and, we're the mean generation. But I mean, I don't think we were trying to be mean. It's just we're very honest in what we do say. We stand our ground, literally.
Yeah.
Like, we don't back down. It's, I believe what I believe, you believe what you believe, and that's that,
Yeah.
We'll agree
It
to
was-
disagree, and we walk away. But it seems like today's generation wants us to conform to theirs,
Yeah.
wants us to be like them. But y'all don't realize sometimes that you are how you are because of how we are. Because of our rugged and, rough ways in the past. That's why we raised you to be a little bit better than us, So, like, for those who want Gen X to totally disappear off the earth, here's my salute to you. And no, we ain't going nowhere anytime soon.
Say
We're
it.
the
Say it like.
diehard motherfuckers here.
Say it like Wayne did in Wayne's World. I will not bow to any sponsor. It's like people only do things for stuff, and that's just really sad, man. Stop it, Garth. It's giving me a headache. Here, take two of these. New print.
New print.
Different. Yellow. Yes, and it's a choice of a new generation.
Yeah,
We
we
were
that type, but we raised really good people. So to the
We
next
did.
generation, we did raise you pretty well, and it's
We just have to
based on
scale
our
it back
rough
a little bit.
experiences.
I think the one point they've missed is that whole part of like agree to disagree. Like, not everybody has to be the same. We're not robots, we're humans. And
Yeah.
you can have opposition and still find other common ground. That's what's missed sorely today is
Yeah.
opposition's not finding common ground to just keep the peace. You don't have to think this way, think that way, believe in this or believe in that to get along. Just find the common ground, which was easy for us to do. It was easy for us to make friends. Just like,
And
oh, hey.
I guess one thing I do remember of the 90s that I will always cherish is, for me, I don't know about the whole country during the time in my 90s, but in my 90s and geographically where I was located, there wasn't very much racism.
Yeah.
And you know what? I see it so much more today. I see it blasted on social media a lot. I see a lot of people that foster it. They foster it and
They foster it and they don't even know they're fostering it.
Yeah.
That's the sad part.
And
That's the
they
sad
think
part.
they're not fostering it, but they do. By continuously doing this, they bring it's like back then we just said my friend Joe and I. We didn't say my black friend Joe and I, my white friend Joe and I, my
Yeah, we
Asian
weren't hung up
friend
on that.
Joe and I.
We weren't
didn't
hung
have
up
to
on that stuff.
specifically say what race they were. We just said my friend Joe and I.
Yeah.
So We were friends with everybody. I had friends all over the damn place. Came from all over the damn creation. Came from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different, we were all different. We knew that. I mean, obviously, we knew our appearances were different, but we didn't see ourselves that way.
That's because
And
we
we
found
didn't,
common ground. There was
we
always something
found
common.
exactly. Back then, we found a common ground. That's whenever I needed to make a friend, I looked for something in common that they had with me. And that's, I think, what humanity is losing. Humanity is looking for differences more than they're looking for
Yeah.
commonality. Because
Yeah.
if I want to make a friend, I'm looking for similarities and not in appearance, skin color, or religion or whatnot, or political affiliation. As a matter of fact, back then, politics was a big.
We didn't give a shit about
We
that.
didn't give
That
a
was
fuck
not
about
something we paid attention
politics.
to.
Fuck politics. Like, what? Who cared about politics? Nobody cared back then. All we cared about was having fun, hanging with our friends, listening to good music, watching MTV. You know, the topics back then were just about the new music video that came out and shit.
Yeah, it was
You know,
always that type of stuff. Or fashion,
was
right? Like the newest shit that came out, like the
the
Malcolm
newest
X
stuff that
hats,
came out.
the Stussy shirts, or if you got like a character shirt, like I
Back then,
remember
guys wearing kanai and just all these
Yeah.
cross colors.
I missed my Simpsons shirt, the one with Bart on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
We-
so,
we- we-
I mean, we just didn't get too involved in too much serious stuff because that's what makes people fight and argue.
yeah, we didn't want to
stayed-
fight.
We stayed to the surface. When we're looking for similarities, we're looking for similarities in the food that we eat, and we can build a relationship on that. You like
I know,
pizza,
yeah.
I like pizza too. Oh, this pizza is awesome. Oh, I could eat tons of that pizza. Or it was our fashion too. Like, oh, you like wearing black too? I like wearing black. So when we categorized ourselves back then, it wasn't on race, it wasn't on religion, it wasn't on political affiliation. We didn't give a fuck about those things. It was like, did you like pizza? I like pizza too. Or, did you get that new CD that came out? Oh, I listen to rap. Do you listen to rap? Yes, I do listen to rap. I also listen to grunge. I also listen to metal. I also listen to soft rock, hard rock, all kinds. That is how we made friends back then. It wasn't always of race. Only small areas were like that, like Los Angeles. Okay, that was all about race, guys in the projects and stuff like that. But America was not summed up by Los Angeles. So we made friends better because we were looking more for similarities and commonalities rather than differences. None of that shit mattered. You had a rich friend, you had a poor friend. You had a friend that could speak English, you had a friend who had struggled with English. It didn't matter. If they were a nice person, they were legit cool with you, and y'all can just talk about something that y'all have in common with, everything was great. And that's why I love the 90s, because that was how it was back then. Aside from the little gang banging stuff that you see in those movies, which represented like a small percentage of the 90s. A small percentage.
They were not
as,
And yes, but I did collect. Well, I didn't collect Pokemon cards per se. I do, and actually, it's kind of sad because Cho and Dad have made claim to it. But remember when Burger King was giving out the Pokeballs? And inside it had the gold card. There was a Pikachu, Jigglypuff. They have the Jigglypuff. They have the Pikachu that I got, but now it's Dad's because
Pokemon
they've held on to
kind of
it.
Started more like in the later 90s.
Yeah.
So my son, he was born in 97. I would have the cartoons on for him, and one of them was Pokemon. And so my son would watch Pokemon. So Pokemon wasn't too prevalent during my teen years. It was more prevalent during my early adulthood. My son was into it. But yeah, Pokemon started coming out at that time. And now look, it's the craze, right? Because you're on Pokemon.
Yeah, I play Pokemon Go like faithfully. But I think for me, the only time that I ever had like differences that kind of went into a debate, and the debates never ended up in like a fight or anything. It was just like, if neither side could trump the other one, it was like, okay, fuck it, we're done with this debate because it's bullshit. But it was always between Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat. It was like Street Fighter 2 World Warriors is better than Mortal Kombat. No, Mortal Kombat's got blood and looks real. And then it's like, it would go from that, and then it would go from like Super Street Fighter 2 versus Mortal Kombat 2. It just went to that. Or like, we never really concerned ourselves with so much differences. It was always find that common ground, and I think that's what it is that lacks today. That and the fact that we had, and they could take offense to this. I can give a flying flip. We had real in-home tragedies that we were dealing with, and I think today's generation lacks that because this generation is being raised by your generation.
Such a good environment at home.
Yeah, so like all the things that we went through, it's been patched.
Is out there rather than in a home. You're right about
Yeah,
that.
yeah, because a lot of our parents remembered all the stuff they went through families that were split, divorce, how all the mistakes their parents made. They made sure to patch those in their relationship with their kids, so their kids don't have that negativity to kind of latch onto to try to build themselves off of.
And I guess that's why they find it out there so much. Because
Yeah, they create it.
They at home. They come home a little bit, to a home environment, a more loving environment than how we came home to an empty house. Mama and daddy weren't home. So whatever happened was me and you there, you get on your games and I got to start cooking because we're hungry.
Yeah, I was always on games.
That's
Sega
kind
Genesis.
of what it is, Home was
Sega Genesis versus Nintendo. Go. Sega Genesis versus Nintendo.
Fuck.
I go Sega.
I mean, I was going Sega because I like Sonic. Sonic the Hedgehog.
Well, there was Sonic, but so I've live streamed on Instagram and stuff like that. Finally, beating Truxton, which I know you like that game, and I really like that game, and I finally beat it. I didn't beat it when I was a kid, but I beat it as an adult. Thunder Force 2 defeated that game. Mystic Defender. Well, I defeated it when I was a kid too, because I played that a lot. Altered Beast, Golden Axe, Kid Chameleon, and of course you have Sonic, and then you had the movie video games like Batman the movie. You play that, but Sega had better, in my opinion, had better graphics at 16-bit. Plus, you also had the add-ons like the 32X and the Sega CD-ROM. You could add on to the original Genesis console, not the little mini one that Maurice had, but the big one. But I have to give Nintendo that because one of my fondest memories, and some of the guys that's in the live right now watching know this story. They know what we did to Dad when Dad worked for Domino's as a delivery driver. They know what you and I did, how we pranked Domino's for pizza because we knew Dad would take it home. So we would play Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo. Dad comes rolling up at 10:30 at night. He comes out. There's a Meat Lovers. There's a Canadian bacon pineapple. There's a pepperoni.
Jeez.
Yes. And he would come in with pizza and be like, well, somebody pranked on these orders, so I just asked my boss if I could take it. We knew who did it.
Today. They can track your calls nowadays. But
back
then they
couldn't. Back then they couldn't. And prank calls too. That's another thing from the 90s that was so fun that we did. We would call people, just random people on the phone book, call them. Because we didn't really have caller ID.
Is your fridge running? Yes, it is. You better go and catch it.
Yeah, we would.
You better
I remember being turned on to the Jerky Boys because you watched them, you seen them. And so you showed me the Jerky Boys. And then that's where we started prank calling people with all the dumbass jokes that we got off that movie. Movies back then, they showed stuff, but movies were never a political mission. There was always more about just for entertainment. That's really, really what it was. And yes, Christopher Fields, yes, we had beepers. We've had beepers.
Conspiracy theorists want to look back at our shit and, want to put a conspiracy. They want to tag a conspiracy on all of our media from the 90s. And I'm like, I'm sure there are some that probably was political driven, but no, for the most part, 90s were about no politics. We didn't give a fuck who was president. Man, we could care less who was president. George Bush, who fucking cares? Okay. We didn't care who was the president. We didn't stand out and go nuts.
The only time we cared about presidents was Bill Clinton, when everyone would make jokes about him when he took the stand because of the Monica Lewinsky thing. And he's like, I smoked marijuana, but I did not inhale.
I did not have sex. Oh, wait.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Miss Lewinsky. Oh, yeah. He like beepers. Yes.
Yeah, we had pagers.
We had pagers. I had colorful ones.
Oh, and if you want to know what I was talking about the Jerky Boys. Go YouTube it. Yeah. They did some prank calls and their shit, and it was hilarious.
That's
It
the
was
things
fucking.
we cared about. Okay, so yeah, we like watching stupid things like that. Like
I
today's
mean,
society
we
thinks
don't.
that what we did was stupid, but or what we watched was stupid or whatever. It's like, okay, Beavis and Butthead are really stupid. Yeah, but it kept me on the tube for hours, so I wasn't out there, doing
There was
crazy.
that. I mean, there was even times like when we lived in Guam and we got hit by that super typhoon and we had power out for like damn near 2 months. We had your boombox radio with D cell batteries put inside of it, and we used to call the radio DJ. I remember the radio DJ, the Cheese Weasel. I remember him, and he used to
Yeah,
play, like songs from like Arrested Development and um, Boys to Men, Another Bad Creation, Belle Biv DeVoe. We would listen to the radio. We didn't even have TV, but we
yeah,
survived with no power, no TV. It was just like mom would be like, sleep in the living room. Here's like 6 candles, light them so you have light.
I
Mom would
actually,
sleep in
to
her
be honest,
waterbed.
I liked those days. I really did. Like,
Yeah,
no, I don't like that there was a storm, and no, I didn't like that there were casualties to the storm. But I did like the candlelights, sleeping in the living room, using either charcoal grill or portable stove to cook.
oh, I remember
I
that.
those are some days, man.
They were.
Like,
You weren't. Like I remember because I do remember that when the power finally returned. I know the first thing I did was hit the Super Nintendo and put on Super Street Fighter 2. But
of course,
being away from like, see, like I guess those were good moments because it took me out of something that I was getting too immersed in and
yeah,
allowed me to come back out. Like we were doing a lot of drawing. We played so many card games. We played
I did
war a
my
lot.
poetry.
Yeah, you wrote, or you would put in your CDs and then you would sing, and I would
Yeah,
just lay on my pillow like on the carpet floor and just listen to you sing and just chill. um or like
yeah.
we would have friends come over and we would just like hang out outside,
Mom and
especially.
her fried rice.
Yeah,
Winners.
especially I gotta tell this story now that I have my sister on the podcast. So there was a time that my mom had a really cool boyfriend. His name was Tony,
We call
Uncle
him dad.
Tony. We called him dad at the time because he was really there for us. And one of my fondest memories with him was like he loved to go crabbing. And in Guam, there's this crab. It's in the Chamorro language. It's called panglautano, which means what one claw is super bigger than the other one.
Land crab. Tano
Yeah.
means land. So it's a
So it's
land
a land
crab.
crab. It's got a lopsided, claws. But he would take us to go crabbing, and it was fun to do that. Like we did so much fun things with him. And I remember,
During the full moon, because it has to be full moon for them
yeah, it
to
has to be
come
full
out.
moon for them to come out.
Well
To come
lit.
out more from where they are. Normally they would stay close, by like the muddy banks and stuff like that. They would actually come on the road during full moon. And I remember they caught a really big one. And my mom was so excited for this one. She had plans to cook this crab, but my sister was like heartbroken because we had made it our pet. We named it Nicholas. We were feeding it scraps of tuna fish and stuff.
We gave
And
it coconut too.
yeah,
Mixed
coconut. Yeah, and I remember when my sister found out my mom planned to eat it,
Not
she was
planned
coming.
to.
She was going to, but she had conveyed her plans to us that she was getting spices and stuff to make a feast with that crab. And my sister was heartbroken because we had gotten attached to this crab in a white bucket. So we let it go. Like we just devised a plan. I was like, you know what? And this is one of those times where I took the heat from my sister.
Wait. No, that was a different crab that got taken away because Nicholas was eaten because mom said after she
Oh
ate
yeah, that's
him,
right. She ate him when we came home from school. So the second one she caught, Nick Jr., that's the one that we kicked the bucket to run off, and then I took the blame that me, Daniel, and Frank James were bullshitting around, and the crab got out, and I didn't want to pick it up. But the first one she ate because we came home from school and the bucket was empty, and then you asked mom where the crab was, and she rubbed her stomach like he was good. Yeah, it was Nick Jr. Nick Jr. We saved that crab. He survived, possibly.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
What's
for
up,
that.
D? Oh, okay. Just go chill. So, yeah, I remember that. Another fond memory I remember. I don't know if you remember this show. We used to watch it a lot around Thanksgiving time. They played this cartoon on I think it was the Family Channel, and it had to do with it's what we named our dogs after. They're Smokey and Rusty and Buttons. Remember those three dogs? It was a cartoon that we watched that we based their names off of. That's what we named them. Yeah. I don't remember the dynamics of the show because it's been so long, and like it was one of those shows that didn't air every day. There wasn't like a series behind it. It was kind of like an animated Hallmark type movie.
I remember. Man, I'm that old.
Yeah, but it was based on some animated bears. One of them name was Smokey. The other one's name was Rusty, because that's what we named the Labrador and the Retriever that we inherited when we rented a house in Maina. We just named them Smokey and Rusty, and then there was another bear named Buttons because we named the neighbor's dog Buttons because that dog would always come over to play with our dog until its stupid owner ran over it, which pissed me off because it was like they were so jealous that the dog would come to us. We would yell out Buttons, the dog would run to us. And who the fuck names their dog Dumpchi? And then of all, I think the wife should have been named Dumpchi because who calls their dog when they're driving up in their fucking Jeep? And then she wonders why she ran over her dog. Well, you called it to you, you dumbass. Of course it's gonna come.
Yeah.
I hated them. I'm glad they moved out.
Shoot. Getting onto the pager subject. Back then. I mean, you had beepers where you could call a number and get the message. And then, but the ones I used were the ones where
you had
to read the fucking screen. And
well, it showed numbers because we had the pager code alphabet. We had
pager codes, and 911 was definitely a famous pager code. Every time someone called, so you make 2 phone calls. The first one you leave your number or your pager code. The second one, because it's not a long screen, you're only allowed so much characters. The second call would be the 911111111, and that would say, okay, you got to call me ASAP right away. But that costs a lot of quarters.
Oh, you're gonna talk about the paperclip. You're gonna talk about the paperclip.
The paperclip trick, yes.
Some people don't believe in it. You can do that on a payphone. You can steal a phone call by putting one end of a paperclip into the speaker receiver, the center hole, and then when you dial the number, as soon as you're done dialing the number, you tap the other end to the metal cord that goes into the payphone, just enough to let the call through without it shocking you. Because if you held it too long, it'll shock you. Yeah. But because I told people that's what we used to do. Because we used to make letters out of numbers, like 177 is M, 17 is N, 11 could be U, or 17 could be U.
But if you want to say I love you to somebody, it was always
143.
My
pager
143 code was 501716. Sonia. So 5017 is.
Mine was easy. It was 7170.
Yeah,
pretty easy.
So mine took 2 calls. I had to do 501716, and they knew it was me. And then, and then you give them the phone number, so they call. There
was 800 numbers where you could call the page toll free. Yeah, we would just steal phone calls, bro. That was the thing. It was like you would page each other.
You gotta be a rebel and steal the phone calls. Don't do it legit. Back then, we weren't about being legit. Back then,
do you remember the mall rats that used to hog the phones? I used to get irritated with the mall rats that used to hog the payphone because I would get paged, Ashley would page me. I would try to call her, but then there's always somebody that's on the phone talking to their boyfriend or their girlfriend for 3 hours. And it's like, why couldn't you stay home on your house phone? Come all the way to the mall to freaking call your chick and everything. And it's like you just want to grab the receiver and beat the shit out of them with it just because they get them off the phone.
I like talking on the phone too long, anyways. I was more.
But you were never really around in one place. Like you always had a car or a ride, and you were always either one end of the island to the other end of the island. Like I knew how to track you down because I knew your habits. Like I knew which friends you were gonna cycle with at what time. But your boyfriends couldn't track you down. I'm
declined.
Oh, call came through.
I forgot to put on Do Not Disturb, so I got a phone call.
But yeah, for me, your boyfriends didn't know how to find you, because
nobody knew how to find me.
It was like me being your younger brother. was like being your fucking secretary. It was like they would find me because they knew where to find me. And then it's like, oh, where your sister stay? Pfft, I don't fucking know. I mean, I knew where you were. I wasn't gonna tell because I didn't know if you wanted them to know or not. Like we had that. You didn't have to tell me, don't tell so and so where I'm at. I just knew. That was like one of the coolest things, was just having that type of connection. Like, I know my sister so well, I ain't telling you shit. Unless she tells me to tell you, you ain't gonna fucking know. Right. Type of thing. And that was the thing. I mean, when you think about friendships, relationships, and all that stuff back then, it almost seemed like that, like people were psychic and could read each other's minds because we knew each other so well. Relationships were built on such better premises.
We didn't have these phones, so I mean, you had to just know each other's habits. You had to like really observe each other.
You really had to know a person, and people weren't about faking their life. They weren't about trying to pretend they were rich, taking pictures next to expensive cars. No one gave a fuck about that. It was, you had to be at the house party, or you had to be at the spot. Because if you missed, it was like watching Halley's Comet. You fucking missed out. If you weren't there for the fight, if you weren't there for the games, if you weren't there for
the party.
Oh, so and so hooked up with somebody, and like, or just, if you missed it, you missed it. And everybody didn't want to miss shit. Because come Monday, you wanted to be a part of the conversation.
Right. Yeah.
These days, it's all about faking, I'm not rich, but I'm gonna get on Instagram and pretend that I'm wealthy. Like that little Asian girl that used to like pretend that she owned all these mansions until the news busted her wide open that her mom was a realtor and she was going on these business things with her mom, and that's why they had like rich, expensive houses and stuff.
Back then, we really didn't care about the status of a person either.
No, we didn't. Clothes didn't fucking matter.
Today, everybody cares about who drives what, who lives in what, and whatnot. And back then, we didn't care. Nobody cared. Nobody was like, "Oh, you live here."
But the Honda you had was awesome. The green Honda Accord, I will never forget that, because I remember when we went to K-Bay, and you went to that dude's place to hang out with him for a little bit, and I was in the car, but you left me in the car, and I'm like, my sister's car is so fucking cherry. I started it. I slowly drove it around the parking lot because, like, I mean, yeah, it was a badass car. Even the hatchback you had, the Accord hatch that freaking Ray stupid ass gave to his brother Aldrin, and then Aldrin got the damn bazooka speaker punctured because he was a fairy. Like, we were into different things. Like, we weren't trying to put on a facade. We were just us. We just did our thing.
And if we didn't like somebody, it was because somebody was an asshole.
Yeah, you had to be a genuine asshole, genuine shit talker. Like, you were asking for it if you got your ass beat. So that was very rare, because mostly everyone was just chill. It was just like, we didn't try to replicate so much of what we saw on television.
Yeah, we didn't.
We created our own identities. That's what it was. Like, we saw something that inspired us, but we would create our own. So we would never have it linked back to that, because it was going to be genuinely us. It's just a version of us. All that stuff. Like, I miss those days. And I guess it's the reason that I push on my kids, like, you don't need to conform to what you think everyone else thinks that you should be. Be what you want to be.
Right.
We need that back. We need that back, because everyone feels like they have to conform.
What Kurt Cobain says, I'd rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I'm not, And I think that's why Kurt Cobain was such a huge influence, because he was always himself.
Well, here's a good question.
Take it or leave it.
You should know this one, because you were driving in the late 90s.
Gas was 99 cents when I was driving. I was 16. That was in 1994. So $10 will fill up a Nissan Sentra. Nissan Sentra was a 10-gallon tank back then. $10 filled that bad boy up.
I think,
and yes, I missed them prices.
The only thing that I can comment on if it came to prices is if someone asked me what was a pack of cigarettes back in the day, because for a pack of Cool Filter Kings when I first started smoking was like $1.55. By late 90s, it went up to $2.50 a pack.
Okay, cigarettes when I started smoking, because I started smoking at 13. Cigarettes back then was just $1. 20 cigarettes.
Not anymore.
Today it's like $10 fucking for a pack.
Fuck that.
I'm like, fuck. Yeah.
My time, you could
That's
buy
why-
4 packs for $10.
That's part of the reason I stopped smoking cigarettes. The other part is I really don't like the taste or flavor of cigarettes. I like the nicotine because it calms me down. I'm bipolar. I'm one of two ways. I'm either severely depressed or I am too uppity up, and it's hard to find a balance sometimes. I'm balanced now though, just letting y'all know. But cigarettes calmed my anxiety.
Dang, it was $2.75 in 2005. Wait, Sneed, you smoked?
Wow.
I would never thought that Sneed smoked because he's really into his workouts. So I'm always thinking, that he's on the healthy side of things. He's the guy I told you that owns a bakery and will literally tell people that bread, real, natural, healthy bread, should not last you a week and a half.
Well, he's the one you always talk really good about, actually. You like this guy, so.
Yeah, he's legit real. So.
I
was a dummy too, Sneed. I smoked for a while. It was actually because of my sister and her vaping is where I discovered the vape to get off cigarettes. That was also the very first time that I got introduced to vaping, and I'll say this, you know what? Because I mean, we're all friends here. We can laugh. Well, but the time that I discovered vaping from my sister was the very first time I found out my mom thought I was gay, and thought that my brother Ruben was like. I remember that because Ruben still talks about it, and you know what?
Funny.
Just to keep the joke going, I always tell Ruben when he brings it up, he's like, Bobby's mom thought I was gay, and I'm like, and I looked at him, and I always tell him like, yeah, but if we were gay, then I would be on top, you'd be on the bottom, because
right
you
on,
guys put him in a
That's
dress.
Good.
You guys put Ruben in a dress, and that will never. That image, how people say that image is burnt in your mind. That image is literally burnt in my mind when you put Ruben with pigtails and in a yellow dress. So sad.
We put him in. That was funny.
What decade is The Simpsons? Oh my God, The Simpsons have been around for so long.
Early 90s.
Yeah, because they were fairly new.
Around 1989, 88.
It had to be around. No, yeah, it had to be around there because I was going to MacArthur Elementary when I got that shirt, and that's when The Simpsons was just coming out.
They were like really the hype. Yeah. Bart,
oh hell yeah, they were the hype.
They were the hype.
I remember that.
And yeah,
we
did
Simpsons.
watch The Simpsons a lot.
Oh yeah, faithfully on TV. That was really cool about it. As long as Dad got to watch MASH, anything else we wanted to watch afterwards, TV was ours.
Oh, and just for those who don't know what MASH is, it's basically a military medical. It takes place in, I think, Vietnam.
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 Yeah, Vietnam.
Yeah, and so it's about these guys who they're medics, and they basically do their medic thing during a time of war. That was Dad's
a lot of comedy.
favorite thing to watch was MASH. As long as he
a
got
lot
that
of comedy.
we could watch whatever we want afterwards.
Yeah, my dad would watch MASH. We would take over. We would watch The Simpsons. We would watch Alf. We would watch Clarissa Explains It All later on, like in the mid '90s.
That was much later when we had Nickelodeon.
Yeah, like I said, like in the mid '90s going forward, there was like Clarissa Explains It All, Blossom. It's funny to see, like when I was watching The Big Bang Theory, it was so weird to see, the girl that played Blossom in there. But then again, But it does make sense because around the time Blossom was there, Roseanne was also a coming up show, and so to see like some of the cast members kind of like intermingle, it was really cool. The music was so weird.
The music of our time.
Oh my God.
Maybe, I guess there were some weird ones.
Boy Meets World. He wants to talk about
let's
Topanga.
talk about Topanga. Yes.
Did you have a crush on her after she developed? When her and Corey got out of elementary school and got into like middle school and high school? I remember like everyone in school was talking about that show when the seasons changed and they were developing them, going out of Mr. Feeney's elementary class and going into Mr. Feeney's middle school, high school stage, and everyone in my class was literally talking about Topanga because she developed. From being the weird girl who paints her face.
Boy Meets World will always be kind of my thing. So my kids watched the entire Boy Meets World, Lexi and Cerise.
So they can
because
really attach to the new one, the Girl Meets World one, the
this way they
spinoff.
can understand the references, and stuff like that. And so, yeah. Okay, so I always had the hots for Sean Hunter, aka, well, the actor's name is Ryder Strong. Oh, he was hot.
Whoa. Y'all don't know nothing about no Full House. Full House? Are you kidding me?
What? Okay,
And we're not talking about Fuller House, not the new one. We're talking about the old one.
We probably missed out on Fuller House more than
I don't give a
Full
shit
House.
about Fuller House.
You got it, dude. Michelle.
You know what was funny about that? And true story on this.
John Stamos was hot.
I had no idea, and this, okay. So this is my stupid moment. I'm admitting to right now. This is my stupid moment. I literally thought the kid actor's name was Mary Kate Ashley Olsen. I didn't know there were twins.
Me too.
I had no idea there were twins. I thought like she
two babies.
I thought her parents just gave her a buttload of names because they wanted her to fail her SATs, bubbling her name.
Right. That's what I thought too. I thought she was one person as well, until she started coming out with her own little videos.
Yeah.
The twins came out with their own cute little bit. I was like, oh, there's two of them.
Yeah, they're movies. They're classic movies.
Mind-blowing.
Saved by the Bell, bro. Saved by the Bell.
Everybody wanted to be Kelly Kapowski.
Oh God,
she
I
was
remember
the
that.
head cheerleader. She was hot. She was gorgeous.
Did you see the movie?
A toss up between AC Slater and Zach Morris.
Did they ever drop the movie documentary about Saved by the Bell? Because I heard they were building it, and it was gonna tell the tragic tale of like all of them, like how they didn't get along on set. They truly despised each other at times, and it was even gonna talk about the downfall of Dustin Diamond, how he became a porn star. It was gonna lead into like because I mean, yeah, they had some shit on that show. I mean, lots of shows back then weren't all as hyped up as we thought, like the Power Rangers.
And that's how you know that they were good actors, because on screen,
you never knew.
You saw the chemistry between their characters. You didn't know that offset they couldn't stand each other. Some of them.
Yes, Golden Girls was funny. I would watch Golden Girls with my mom. Watched that show, so I would watch it with her, and I found it to be entertaining and funny too. But I literally thought I forgot what her name is, but the tall one, I literally thought that was a man.
Blanche. No, not Blanche.
No. Blanche is the
pretty,
promiscuous one, the diva.
She's the diva. I'm thinking, okay, there's
not Betty White, but the other one's like
Okay, the actress's name was Rue McClanahan, but I forgot the name of her character.
Yeah, I thought she was a dude. She's not.
She's just a very tall lady, She was actually cool. And Betty White is my favorite because she's funny as shit.
Stephanie
Tanner. Okay, the middle child, the one who...
Why were all these middle childs and stuff like that have like bad past? Because like Ruben actually found out that she was into the adult film. The actress who played her. I think it's Jodie Sweet or something like that is her name.
Jodie Sweetin.
Yeah, she was in the adult industry for a while. Lisa Turtle, Screech's eye candy, the love of his life.
Okay, that's actress Lark Voorhees. Yeah, she was so cool into fashion. I actually liked her fashion sense. Her character.
I was scared of her. I was literally scared of her.
What? Why?
Because when you showed me Friday the 13th movies and Jason Voorhees is the killer's name, I thought she's related. I mean, you have to admit, I got you on the podcast now. Here's my big fuck you to you about the horror train. I told the story to everyone on here. They know about the damn horror train and how I bitched out on it, and that was your favorite ride at the carnival. But yeah, you showed me Friday the 13th. I thought she was related to Jason.
Well, I mean, though, okay. Yeah, but yeah, Lisa Turtle was a fashion icon in the 90s. She had her cool suits. Oh my gosh, everybody's throwing us shows right now. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Okay, the Carlton. I think I put it up on my Facebook post the other day. Well, not the other day, but the other week. I love the Carlton. It's my favorite dance. No, I don't know how to dance it. Shit.
Was her name Dolores, the tall lady in Golden Girls?
Dolores.
Yeah, her mom, the character's mom was Sophia. the really
played by
punchline joke
Estelle
lady.
Getty.
Yeah, yeah. So we got
Fresh
in
Prince.
Living Color, Dwayne Wayne, kind of like in Living Color. That was what
In
that
Living
was.
Color was more of that variety show with the Wayans, and it had that's how Jennifer Lopez got her start. She was a fly girl.
Oh, okay, okay. I
Yeah,
do remember
that's
this
all the
show.
Wayans brothers.
I do remember this show, Bill Nye the Science Guy. That's when I wanted to learn some shit, and I would watch that show
It was good
for
learning
sure.
though. My kids know Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Yeah, the adult film thing that happens to these people is always some personal demons creeping. Yeah, there was. There were like one of my favorite actors from movies in the 90's, Macaulay Culkin. I felt so bad for him when I read the biography about him,
Right.
how his dad literally his dad made him like memorize every line of a script to where he didn't need a script when it was time to film on set, but he didn't really have much of a childhood, and no wonder why he went fucked up when he became an adult. And what I didn't know until I saw the documentary was in the first and second movie, the kid who plays his cousin that pees the bed is his brother.
Is his brother. That's
didn't know that.
Kieran, right?
I think.
I
don't
think
remember
it's
his first name.
Kieran. It's either Kieran or Rory. One of the two.
No, it's not Rory, so it has to be Kieran. It's not Rory
Kieran.
because I remember the cast sort of.
Well, The Good Son. If you remember The Good
Oh
Son,
my god,
that was kind of
I love that movie.
That was his dark role, his breaking
Very dark.
role, and him with Elijah Wood, I believe.
Yeah.
So the girl that played Elijah Wood's sister is actually Macaulay Culkin's sister.
Ah. See, I only remember The Good Son because me and Daniel and Frank James, we tried to build that bolt gun that he built in the movie when he shot the dog. I tried to actually make one. So I guess there are some things about the 90's that was like a little too far beyond when you take something from a movie and try to wield it into reality. Because if I built a bolt gun, oh my god, the damage that would have caused.
Well, don't forget Dad's birthday. One of Dad's
Oh,
birthdays. We did okay, so if you remember what was that? Home Alone? You know, all those traps.
Oh yeah, the prank was based on that.
Our prank was based on that.
The glue and the saran wrap, the styrofoams and the fan.
Yep.
Yeah, we pranked the shit out of it. Well, that's because Dad's birthday's on April Fool's. But I still think on that one, Uncle Ray got Dad really good, sending him that giant box with only one of the queso blanco in it.
I know, Dad was so distraught about it. He was so disappointed.
Just one in a giant box.
I remember, and I can hear Dad saying it in my head right now. Just one.
That was because the box was like 2.5 feet tall, so it was a really big box. Like you would think there would be a lot of stuff in there, and now it was one block of the guayaba paste and one block of white cheese, basically queso blanco, which was my dad's favorite snack. He would eat those two together, and which has actually become my favorite snack because I do go like to the ranch market here. It's like a Mexican restaurant, like not restaurant. Well, it does have a taqueria inside, but they do sell the guayaba paste, and they sell what's not the Puerto Rican style white cheese, but they do have they call it a queso fresca. It's very similar.
It's
the
similar.
same thing. Very similar. It tastes exactly the same. So when you put the two together, it's good.
Delish.
Definitely.
Fruit and cheese always goes together. You can never go wrong with fruit and cheese, right?
Yeah. Everyone's still dropping like the Wayans Bros. Yep, Sneed, Wayans Bros. I mean, here's one movie I know my sister. Yes, Major Payne. I was gonna bring him up.
I am not your damn brother.
I think the funniest part was where Bam Bam Bigelow cameoed in the movie. He beat the shit out of him. I'm gonna take this left foot here, put it across. No, I'm gonna take my right foot, put it across the left side of your face. Kicked his ass, and before he knocked him out, you said you hit me in the face. You calling me a liar? Oh, children.
That was freaking funny.
Hell yeah.
And that movie came out when you were in the hospital. I remember.
Yeah. Right, because you used to sit in the hospital and either play board games with me. Like, I mean, the hospital times sucked because, I almost died. And at the same time, too, I was recovering and having to go through multiple surgeries. The fun times I remember of it was watching movies with you, like Aliens. That's the first time I got turned on to Aliens, because you got Aliens and we watched it. We watched Aliens Part 1 and Part 2. We watched Major Payne. We got Monopoly. We got other board games. So yeah, you would like chill with me at the times where I was awake, because
Ooh, Monopoly was like a huge thing in the 90s, and you could stay up late at night. Like, I legit played a Monopoly game with like Tiffany and Chris them. This was in Aliamanu.
yeah, I remember Chris Gala
I
and all
believe
them.
we stayed up till like 5 a.m. We even watched Jerry Springer. Y'all remember Jerry Springer?
Oh yeah.
Jerry.
Hey, there's some comments here that are right up your alley. Let's see. Oh, Sneed mentions Mariah Carey killed the 90s music scene. I know, my sister used to sing it all the time in her room. I would hear it through the wall. I could play Sega and hear my sister singing.
I used to be able to sing pretty high. I can't do it today.
You probably could if you actually like pushed yourself to do it. TLC and SWV. The 90s, New Kids on the Block. Yes.
I did
Definitely.
like TLC. I liked them from the beginning. Their first album, I listened to the whole damn thing. The Condom on the Eye. Yeah.
Tony Braxton, Maya, and Monica.
Yes.
You know what's funny? One of my favorite movies, ATL, which stars T.I. Monica's in that movie. She's the waitress that gets irritated when they ask for sweet tea in the Waffle House. She's got like the yellow, like blonde hair with like red underneath it, like two-tone color. I didn't even know that was her until someone pointed it out.
Yeah, I liked Monica. There was the whole Monica versus Brandy type of deal, which is why it was really cool when they came up with the song "The Boy Is Mine." You know, because back then, yeah, you were either into Brandy, Monica, or Aaliyah. Let's not forget Aaliyah. Aaliyah was an icon. Tupac definitely was an icon. Leanne cried the day that Tupac
Everybody
died.
in my class,
remember.
when they announced it. I don't even know why they announced it in school, but they did, and everyone cried in my class when they said that he passed. He didn't survive the gunshots.
Yeah, everybody was crying. Whoever liked Tupac, they was crying. Leanne was crying. I wasn't really crying, but
Tupac had Sneed ready to fight the cops. NWA had me ready to fight the cops.
Right? With "Fuck the Police." Yeah.
Yeah. Them, and then Ice-T's song "Cop Killer."
Oh yeah.
Yahoo Messenger in the 90s, not so much. We really weren't on the internet so much. We didn't really care to be on IMs or anything like that.
To be honest, internet didn't hit us in our house until I think after I moved out. After I moved out, then Dad got a computer and y'all had AOL, right? America Online?
Yeah, I had America Online, but it was like I was rarely on it because rather than being at home, I got my board, got my backpack, stuff that would close just in case I needed it. And I was out downtown Honolulu skating day and night.
That's kind of where that started. So Yahoo, before there was Yahoo, there was America Online. Dial-up, DSL. Ugh.
I remember that. And the weird ass noise it made.
Right? Sounded almost like a fax machine thing.
Now, a couple of my friends were online on the internet with that because I used to hear them rage like when they would come out to what the hell was the name of that elementary school across the Safeway? I can't remember it, but it was down the road from Roosevelt High School. But they used to come and skate, and they would come and skate because they were pissed off because they were on a chat with friends.
Wasn't Kawana Nakoa, was it?
No, not Kawana Nakoa. It was down the road from Ashley's house. But I remember they used to get mad, and I didn't know this, but in dial-up chat, if someone picked up the phone to make a phone call, it would interrupt your connection, and so they would drop out. My friends would come over.
You had to make sure everybody knew you were going online, so nobody picked up the phone.
Yeah, which is why all people were chatting late.
You had to get one line for your phone and one line for your dial-up service.
Yeah. Oh, Queen Latifah. I love her movies.
Okay, that's
her music. I really didn't listen too much of it, but her movies I was hella into.
She is funny. She is funny, and she guest starred a couple of times in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Snake's like, I didn't I didn't have time to mess with the interwebs. I was too busy being a heartthrob for the ladies. I think that was like most guys' things back in the days, was just trying to hang out with the girls and whoever they had a crush on back then.
In the 90s, we didn't like to be in the house that much.
Hey babe, could you pop the lamp?
I mean, and the same thing for the 80s. We didn't have time to be on. So when internet first came out, most households didn't have it. Like the ones who did have it were like people who were, I guess, hip to technology, I guess. Because my house didn't have it for a while.
Well, I didn't use it to chat. When Dad got home internet and because Dad had bought that compact Presario PC, the black one that he had, I didn't use it to chat. What I used it for was for finding either walkthrough tutorials for my video games or cheat codes. That's what I used it for.
Okay, what I used it for back then was to just look up shit, really. I mean, that was what I first started using internet for, was just to look things up. Other than that, I mean, wasn't really into chat rooms. People talk about chat rooms and stuff like that. I wasn't really into the chat rooms. I don't like chatting.
Yeah, it wasn't until when I was living with the Nawatanis when I started getting into, I don't want to say hacking, because you're not really unless you're trying to break into some shit, then you are hacking. But just in that whole realm, underworld, dark web shit, is when I really started getting into that. And then I stopped it for a while and got back into it after my split with my ex-wife. When I split with her, I kind of got back into computers and stuff like that, and that's when I really started just kind of dabbling in that. But mostly everything with me was just always kind of being out. So like being involved in skateboarding, and even going from the 90s transitioning into the 2000s, that's when I hit the street racing scene. That's where Amir, Kali'i, and all them, Destruction of Dreams Car Club came to be. And we started going to tracks out there in Eva Beach. We started driving Tantless, even though Tantless is like all jacked up now.
Okay, so that's your guys' car club. Okay, the car club I ran with were the
Kichi drivers. Yeah, they're well known because they were at tracks too. Like we used to go to tracks and we used to drag race.
Way back in the day. Ice Palace was the place to hang.
Ice Palace. Yes, ice skating rink. That was a place to go to. You know what was funny though about the whole street racing thing? And I think about it now and I'm like, damn, we were like really stupid. We used to take olive oil and a little bit of butter and make a spray that we would spray on the windshield and wipe it clear, just so we would think it would cause less friction for the air to keep the car. So we would shave off like half a second on a quarter mile. And then we used to go to Triangles and practice drifting, and that's where Amir fucked up the Dodge Neon. You can really drift good if your car is rear wheel drive, not front wheel. And he learned the hard way when he took a turn going 45 and he ripped the e-brake to try to power slide it.
Interestingly, today they still want to be drifting because my son bought my Challenger off of me. So I had a 2015 Dodge Challenger. My son has it now. And like him, it's a rear wheel drive. So he wants to go and try drifting in, and I'm like, no, try it on something else before you do it on that bad boy. Like, get good and understand the concept first before you start taking that out for that. No.
Yeah, for sure. Here's one for you, because I remember you used to watch the TV show Singled Out.
Yes, Jenny McCarthy. Yeah, she was cool. I liked watching Singled Out. That was funny. I miss those kinds of variety shows. They don't do that anymore today. Today, everything is so fucking real life, real. Yes, Sneed, I do. I have, okay, so, wow, we're going to go through the ages of my kids. Okay, my eldest is 26, the next is 25, then my daughter's 22, and my other one just turned 21. My son is 19. And then my youngest is 12. So yeah, I have 3 sons old enough to drive, 2 daughters old enough to drive.
Yeah, I'm gonna be 41, and she's 4 years older than me. She's the oldest of four. My dad has four. This is the oldest.
Yeah,
You don't
I'm
look it.
classic.
We'll tell them the truth. We're secretly vampires, and we go and we find the not so innocent, and we feast on them to keep our youth.
Actually, we hang with the vampire Lestat. I'm just kidding. Queen of the Damned, right? Y'all remember that movie?
I remember that movie. That was like when that movie came out. It was pretty good, and it links not like as in it's a sequel to the movie, but it does link to the character because you have Lestat in Queen of the Dam. He is also in Interview with the Vampire.
Yes, he is. Yes, they could give me grandkids. No, I have no grandkids at the moment.
Not yet.
It seems like the next generation are very careful in their lives. They're a little bit more watchful. Like me, I had my first kid right out of high school, 18, first kid. Then I had kids and kids and kids and kids afterwards. But today's generation look like they're being more cautious about bringing in a family, raising a family, and stuff like that. You guys are smart, very smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all are much smarter than us. We didn't waste time. At least I didn't. I didn't waste time. I became a mom very young, and then I kept having my kids very young. When I had my 12-year-old, I was 32, going on 33. So I was, that was kind of old for me already. But yeah, we were those kinds of we had a lot of pregnancies during my time. A lot of teen moms. Lots of teen moms, because we weren't on the internet. We had nothing better to do but go out and either do drugs, have sex, steal our parents' cars, you know what I mean, and go cruise around. That was all we had time to do. We didn't have the internet. So I think maybe today's generation too, they're so busy on the internet that they really don't have time to go out there and physically connect with somebody, So,
and there's so much information out there for them to grab. Like, they can, if they wanted to be informed, they could.
Right.
They just gotta simply just look it up.
Right. So they educate themselves out there. Whereas us, our education was life, pure life. Whatever came at you is what you experienced.
Snake says it's not that they are smart necessarily. They are just focused on themselves and not having kids out of fear. Yeah. I put the fear in my daughter, Destiny. I put the fear in her.
I agree with that too. Yeah, they are. Because my daughter, so my 21-year-old daughter, she's very focused on herself and career. She just got this huge pay raise by switching to another company. So they are really focused on, stacking their bank accounts, getting them, getting their credit scores. You kids know so much more about credit scores than what we did when we were 18, 19 years old. When we were 18, 19 years old, we didn't know shit about credit. We didn't care about it, we just didn't, If we had the money, we paid. We didn't go out for credit cards and this and that, until later in life. And then we learned the hard way,
Yep.
So my generation learned credit the hard way. The generation after us are a bit smarter in that area because they can look these things up. Then you have people on like Instagram. I watch Reels a lot, so I like to see what's going on out there. And there's this guy that always talks about retiring at 30 and how he does it and stuff. And I'm like amazed. Retiring at 30? That's unheard of. Not in my generation. My generation, we retire at like 60, like the generations before us. But the newer generation, they're coming up with new ways to make a living, entrepreneurship. Then there's YouTube, there's social media. You can make money off of that too. Being an influencer. Like there's more opportunities today because of the internet than what we had back in our day. Back in our day, it was get a trade or get some type of career, work hard, and you'll make it, And we were told that all our lives by our boomer parents, because our parents are boomers.
Yeah. He says the problem is if they take too long, they will be 40, unmarried, and no kids with all that money in their bank accounts.
True. I mean, there's a happy medium to everything, I guess. You know, I did things a little too early and prematurely. I didn't think things through. And then, yes, there are people on the other side of the spectrum that did all of this their whole lives, and then the opportunities for marriage or for family pass them by. There's a happy
Yeah.
medium to it, and I think today's generation kind of, I think they have a bit of a handle on it, don't you think?
I mean, he interacts with kids every day. He needs a teacher.
Okay, so you know what? Then he has a lot more. I only deal with my kids, so
Yeah,
and
he sees
that's very
the generation
specific.
quite often. It's like it's one of the funniest things, right? Because I growing up in school and everything like that, like I didn't get along with any teacher, right? The closest one was like Mr. Verzon, but that's only because like he was really trying to like pull me out of the struggles I was in. And then here I am, in my 40s, about to hit 41, and I have a really good friend, and he's a teacher, and I admire that about him. Like I think the other reason that you know like Sneed is one of the people that like I put up there with the people that I care about. He's a really good dad. He's a really good father. Like when I first found out about him and started watching him and started watching his content and everything like that, and then there was another guy that I was cool with, had a channel, JG Tech Blog, would always tell me like I should collaborate with them. But at that time when they wanted me to collaborate, I was stepping away from YouTube because I was working for Sprint and I was dealing with all that shit. But I would watch his content and everything, and then what he does, what you know, and this always stuck with me. What he makes on YouTube, the stuff he gets on it, he's putting away for his daughter's college. He's putting away for her future. And I
That's
admired that.
right.
And so when he announced that, when I first started watching his videos, I'm like, okay, you're gonna get my view every chance you can get it, and I'm gonna smash the like button on your videos. I am going to be engaging because I want the algorithm to back his channel. Now he's blowing up bigger and bigger and bigger. Like every month, it's just more and more, and the community base is being built. But he's also a real one. So he's not like talking to me about 5G tech or smartphone devices to blow smoke up my ass to buy something. He gives it to you as it is. So he's like one of the last that I call the old guard, which has that belief structure of I'm not influenced by any brand. I'm gonna tell it like it is. You're gonna get it like that. If you don't like it, oh well, fuck you. That's
Right,
on you.
right.
A lot of I'm not trying to call them all out before they start crying in the corner, but a lot of content creators today really kiss the asses of Google and Apple because they want something out of it, type of thing.
Right.
He's
Like a
nowhere in that category.
sponsorship or product or
Yeah, he's nowhere near
recognition.
that. So
Yeah.
he always has my respect, and eventually we're all gonna meet. Eventually we're all gonna hit Vegas for CES. We're gonna go to that tech event in Vegas, and that's where we'll all eventually meet in person. And yes, Christopher Fields, I am 40 years old. I'm turning 41 next month, August. So that
Yeah.
yeah,
um,
I still get that today.
it's weird because yeah. So one thing I do notice is that yeah, our generation does look younger because we had less cares. That's why, folks. We had less cares.
That's
We
not
didn't
as bad.
care.
Look at our little brother. Look at our little brother. I feel bad for him. I don't care if he gets mad at me if he actually watches this later. I feel bad for him because if you meet my younger brother Rafael, if you meet him and listen to him talk, or if you watch his Twitch live streams, he sounds like a kid. He sounds like he's 14. And if you talk to him on the phone, he sounds like a girl. So I may not look 40, but at least people will say that I look anywhere between early 30s, mid 30s. I'll take that. I don't want to be like, calling somebody and they're like, how old are you, kid? Like, I can only imagine what my brother goes through. God bless his heart. I love him. He's a Twitch streamer. If you guys want to go check him out, later on, I'll link it in the description, his Twitch channel. You guys should watch he does, I don't know where it comes from, why he does Twitch live streams. I do YouTube live streams.
Two
I
brothers
like being
on
on
different
camera.
live streams. Why not? Yeah, you can
Oh,
find an
eventually I'm
Escobar
gonna pull him
anywhere.
on. Eventually I'm gonna have him on the live stream. I'll probably talk with him about games and stuff like that because he's really into his gaming. He's far more into the newer generation games. Like me, I'm old school, right? Donkey Kong, Super Mario Brothers, that type of stuff. You try to tell me to play, COD? No, I'll be like the last
I play
person you would
Pac-Man.
ever want.
I like
I mean,
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man's cool. Like I have friends at work that are like, "Yo, we should get that on some COD." I'm like, "Dude, you don't want me on your team. You will lose. You will rank ultimately low if I'm on your team because this first-person shooter shit, I don't give a fuck about. Like my type of games is all fantasy related, like Street Fighter, right? A martial arts guy that can do martial arts and throw fireballs out of his fucking hand. I'm not worried about what type of gun that I'm going to be shooting somebody with. Mortal Kombat, Scorpion, he's dead. He pulls his mask off and he's a fucking skull and tortures your ass alive. I am not worried about what type of like my youngest daughter Aubrey. She's a Fortnite geek. Like she's badass on it. I forgot what her rank is, but I know she's supposed to play against one of the trainers at my job. Like he wants to play my daughter 1-on-1 because he found her on Fortnite. He saw her rank and he's like, "How old is your daughter?" I'm like, "She's 10." He's like 10. I'm like, "Yeah, she's 10, but she plays Fortnite like every day." So go ahead. You want to challenge her? Add her as a friend. It's cool. I know who you are. You work with me. Y'all can play 1-on-1.
Yeah, it's cool. So yeah, I mean, contrast to the newer generation, yeah, we got ourselves into a lot of stuff just because we didn't have anything to keep us focused on something. So we were all over the place. But today's generation, they're amazing. They're really amazing.
I gotta challenge this guy now. Christopher Field says, "I hate old school games. I can't get past the graphics." Well, here, I'll challenge you on this. Okay. And if you take this challenge, you have to record it. There can't be any cuts, any jumps in your video. It's got to be from beginning to end. All right. Get an NES console or fuck it. You can use an emulator on a computer. I want you to play Super Mario Brothers from beginning to end and defeat it.
Like
no Game Genie key. Yeah, the very first one. No Game Genie cheats. No using the fucking the warp pipes in the second part of each world. So World 1-2, you can't go to the warp pipes. You gotta do every level. See, this is why like I have this debate with my kids all the time. I'm like, you guys got fucking save points in your games. You could save, you can come back later. My save was turn the fucking TV off, put the controller behind the NES, and try to hide the red light so my dad wouldn't look at it and be like, "You're wasting electricity," and fucking turn it off. Right? And you had to pause the game. That was a save point.
You had to start all over again.
That was a bitch. I hated that.
No,
well,
no checkpoints, nothing.
You used to see me game rage over that shit when I was playing like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 and I would die and I'm at like stage 7, which is close to the Technodrome, and I had to start back from stage 1. Like Double Dragon, fucking Ninja Gaiden, all those games. It was a pain in the ass. I guess, but see that was my time growing up, Christopher. That was my time growing up. Those are the games that were around for me. Sega Genesis had 16-bit graphics, so they were double better than Nintendo. But you could do, like it was a challenge because there were no save points. Nothing. You could not save your progress.
You had to literally just stay on your game until you ended it, or do like what he did, hide the fact that your game was still on.
Let me put. I gotta read his comment. That NES would be broken, and I would record the broken console in my hands. Like, look what you made me do, Tito. You did this. Yeah, no, I mean, cause the video games today, like I get shocked and just like the graphics, how realistic it is, and just all the things you could do with video games today, especially, and this is like one of the reasons that, like people advocate for 5G, because the way gaming is going to be in the future, like virtual gaming and stuff like that, it's a big deal coming in. And, but me, I suck at first-person shooter games. There's no way you're going to want me on any team, whatever you're playing, Fortnite, COD, I don't care what it is. If it requires team effort, military strategy, and everything like that, I'm going to die a lot. You guys are going to rank very fucking low. But...
Oh, I'm coming outside so that y'all can see some sunlight.
No, sunlight. The Hawaiian sun.
I'm in Hawaii. Sunlight. Lots of sunlight.
Well, that's good for you because we're in excessive heat. We are in excessive heat, but I do have to cut this short. We're already hitting 3 hours.
I know, right? This is a long time to be out.
But you can come back again because there is a future one that I want to talk about that's outside of the 90s. It kind of reverts back to what we talked about in a previous podcast before. And it's a subject that I'm very adamant about. So human trafficking, stuff like that. I want to touch base with that. If you're comfortable with that, I would love to get you back on the podcast and we can talk about that.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Bet we can.
So I'll paste it out. It'll probably be in a couple of weeks.
Is there a way I can turn this damn camera around so everybody can see Hawaii?
You should be able to on your screen, your list of tools. There should be one like a 3 ellipses, 3 dots. If you click that, it should let you see an option to reverse the camera.
Oh, video settings.
Boom.
Oh, this is my home. Simple island living.
B-Tech Reviews, you can catch the replay, bro, if you're willing to put through 3 hours.
Okay, there's mango tree.
Oh wow, you guys cleared up a lot of the stuff on the side.
Yeah, we did. We still have some work to do, like Papa's boat. My husband's father, so my father-in-law, get his boat. You can kind of see it peeking behind the mango tree. But we cleared a lot. And then my husband built this. It's Ray and Cerise, so live in there. And then
Uh-oh, I think she went too far from her internet router. Yeah, for sure, B-Tech. We got to get back on it. Maybe after SummerSlam. And I'm going to get you on this podcast sometime in the future. I'll let you know when. Because like I said, I have a list of people that I'm going to be inviting as guest hosts on podcasts. You're one of them. Sneed is another one. And when I'm ready to do that podcast, I'll reach out to him to let him know what we're going to be talking about. My sister lost her connection. Yeah, I can see like her connection went yellow. So she got too far from her internet router. Like where she lives at would probably be a really good place for T-Mobile to just kind of, work on that area, the west side of the island. She has T-Mobile. But all right, everybody. I don't know if she's going to hop back in here, but I'm going to go ahead and close out this podcast. I want to thank everybody that came in and listened to our stories, our jargon, everything that we talked about. And hopefully you guys enjoyed what I did today. There are more of these coming on this channel down the road. Like I said, I'm going to have more people come as guests, and we're going to be talking about different things, not tech. But there'll be some tech videos for you guys. Don't worry, I'm still going to upload some tech stuff and even do some live streams about tech. But I wanted to bring a different atmosphere, and this is what I had in mind, and this is what I'm hoping for. So, Sneed, I'll let you know when I want to have you on. As a matter of fact, you are my next guest that I'm going to try to shoot for to get something going. And I actually want to talk about the education system and the way it is today versus how it was before, since you're very, you are in that, that very well. It's something I want to talk about and how that affects today's youth and what we can expect in the future when it comes to, the education of our children. So I want to get with you on that one. Thank you guys for being here, watching all the way through 3 hours of your guys' time. I love you guys for that. I appreciate you guys. I'm going to go ahead and go. I'm going to message my sister and let her know I ended the podcast already. I'm sure she says thank you to everyone, and she'll be back again for future podcasts that she and I are going to collaborate on. So, but yeah, just know that she said thank you guys as well. You guys have an amazing Friday. Yeah, I'll talk to you all on the next one. Thanks for hanging out with me. Aloha.